in our journey to greatness. Anybody? So some of the points that we made then, that for a person to be great, there are some qualities that we need. We need godliness, we need wisdom, we need integrity. And one of the points that we made then is that even to greatness, we need financial strength, we need wealth. And in our discussion today, which is a continuation of where we stopped the last time, we shall be focusing on multiple streams of income. Is it a very good thing for a man to just have one source of income? So that's some of the things that we're going to be looking at today. Is it a good thing for a man to just have one source of income? What are the opportunities that we have around us? What are the things that we can put our hand into? There are people in the world that are making it in different areas. We know there's some people around us here that has got their hands into different things. So we want to come together today to share ideas, to talk together, to reason together, to discuss, to look at some of the opportunities that we have amongst us, around us. In the world, they say is that millionaires, they have at least 7 sources of income. If you look at this man, Richard Branson, the chairman of Virgin Group, he's got his hand in many things. We have Virgin Money, Virgin Train, Virgin TV, Virgin Broadband, Virgin this, Virgin that, Virgin Trade, Virgin Atlantic. So a few years ago, the government, they withdrew the license to Virgin Train. And Virgin Train is a multi-million pounds company. And did that affect the man? It did not affect him. Why? Because he has other sources of income. He rebalanced himself and he's still going strong. But if a person has just one source of income, it's a risky place to be. So we want to look at those opportunities that we have around us today that we can leverage into, some of the things that we can do, some of the opportunities around us. And I pray that as we discuss, that God will open our eyes to see and our hearts to see in Jesus' name. So today we have a group discussion. We've given more time to group discussion. We have about 1 hour to discuss amongst ourselves. And also we have somebody that will be joining us online on Zoom. It's a man that has been into business. He started with about nothing. And today he has a portfolio of properties that is worth over 2 million pounds. So he's going to be coming to share ideas, to share some of the secrets with us and to give us information. And also we have one of our father who will be speaking to us. Is a businessman, an accountant. He has seen. So he shall be coming to share with us as well some of the things and some of the opportunities that we can leverage into. So our theme for today is wisdom to excel. So the things that we need to excel financially, because God has promised us, he has promised us greatness this year, and we are moving into greatness. And I pray that as we go on, God will speak to us in Jesus' name. So there's no plan drill today. So if there's any fire alarm, so we should just go out. The fire exit is there, and there's one at the back. And also the toilet is just down there. So, and the next on the program just now is for us to have our breakfast. So the next on the program is for us to have breakfast. And the breakfast is 20 minutes. The journey ahead is far. So we need to equip ourselves with the food that we presented. So we need to fuel ourselves. So we have 20 minutes. So please, let's come back after 20 minutes because we have a lot of things to look at and to discuss. Okay. So we start with the table at the back first, then we take it in that sequence. So the table at the back and next one. So please, let's go for our breakfast. Then we come together again after 30 minutes to continue.
Fire drills, did you tell them? Yeah. The toilets, did you tell them? Yeah. Okay. Because people are asking for toilets. Yes.
We won't pause it, but we just
Guys, please, our time. I know it's just. Yes. Yeah, but we are still done. Levels. Yesterday. You roll up in
And you must provide to
Yes. From that moment. That thought was like. Yes.
Dale. Le vai então. Ele quando eu fiz, ele quando eu fiz, já depois fiz. Aquilo. Ok, aí. Dale blanco. Ele não never finish. When you finish, sit down.
Explain how to make okay, yeah. I'm giving them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, SARS. Glad to have everyone again here. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm pretty sure we've enjoyed our breakfast, and some of us that are still eating, please, by all means, feel free to continue eating while we move on to the next item on the agenda. So we'll be doing our group breakout and presentation, which is basically we'll be building up on what we started the last, men's breakfast meeting, starting with great men, and then the theme for this particular one is more of wisdom to excel, and we are focusing more on multiple streams of income. So it will be as it's been introduced already. The plan right now would be to create 2 groups out of the 5 tables that we've got going on here. So and then I'll provide the topics of discussion so that we can now start brainstorming amongst ourselves and then see how we'll take it on from there. So the group 1, so the first set of tables we'll be looking at is the tables on my left. So that's 3 tables on my left. We'll be discussing on the topic list of possible business opportunities around, and how to enable us, what we need to do to enable us achieve this multiple stream of income that we've just talked about. So as most of us will know, and I would talk about myself especially, I do not have any additional source of income right now. So it's possible there are some people in this meeting here that are in the same category as myself. So what do we need to do in order for us to at least help ourselves have this multiple stream of income? For some of us that were in Aberdeen, in 2015, during the oil and gas downturn, it wasn't a pleasant experience at all, because most of us are focused on 9 to 5. When the 9 to 5 went, then the bills do not understand that 9 to 5 is gone. It keeps coming. So how do we then prepare ourselves, to diversify our streams of income? Bro David had already, given us an illustration during the introduction, like he gave a practical example as to what happened to Richard Branson, chain of business, where one arm of his business, collapsed, right? But because he's got like almost 6 to 7, sources of income, it doesn't mean that, he goes bankrupt. Yes, the employees who are 9 to 5, like myself, that are working in that particular side of the business, the real business, the virgin, real, that, collapsed, will lose their job. So what do we need to do as brothers? What do we need to do to diversify our source of income? And that is why, we are assigning this first group of tables, the tables on the 3 tables here, mainly to discuss, the possible business opportunities that are around us in the UK, focusing on the UK, especially for now, that we can do in order to, assist us for the future and for us to actualize, that great man that we've talked about, in the last meeting. Group 2, table 2 will be the tables on my right here. So that will be interest income table and dividend income. So, and the key theme we'll be discussing, the key topic we'll be discussing will be, we want you to, let us know the barriers, to business growth and collaboration in the UK here, or amongst us. What are the barriers to business growth and collaboration in our community? So just to make it clear as well, I know I've not said it already, but each table has got 5 minutes, 5 minutes to list, as much points as you want, 5 minutes, and then you have 5 minutes to come over and present, your points. So I would advise we'll limit it to like three top, points that we've identified as priority for discussion. So you can then come over here, present it for 5 minutes, and then there will be additional 5 minutes for question and answer for us. So we are looking at a total of, yeah, so the topic for this group is the barriers to business growth and collaboration in our community. Barriers to business growth and collaboration in our community. So that's for the 2 tables. Yeah, on my right. And then for the tables on the left here, so it's for you to list possible business opportunities that are around us in order for us to achieve that multiple stream of income that we are trying to get to. So you list, discuss amongst yourself, and then, if it is 10 you've identified, we want you to discuss the top 3 or the top 5, as the case may be, because it's just 5 minutes you've got for the discussion here, and then additional 5 minutes for question and answer. So we'll have 5 tables in all. So we are looking at 10 minutes, for each table to then come and discuss what they've got. So can we proceed? If the question is not clear, please by all means say so. All the same. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just to be clear again, so we'll have 2 groups, right? All the tables on my left have 1 topic, right? And the topic is for you to list, the business opportunities that are around us, right? In order for us to achieve this multiple stream of income that we're talking about here. So what could potentially be your preferred multiple stream of income, but we want you to share it with us. So it's just the same thing, but I believe each table may come up with, they may have different priorities. So you discuss your top 3 priorities. Yeah. And then questions will be asked for the next 5 minutes. So you've got 5 minutes, to start collaborating. Yeah. 5 minutes to start collaborating and discussing. Yeah, just listen. It mustn't be 3, but as much as possible, right? Then you come and discuss your top 3, the one that is top 3 for you. So we've got 5 minutes to go. By 9:45, then we can start the discussions and presentation as well.
So we can just zoom in through that.
Two more minutes, please. You can round up, please. Is table and income ready for presentation? And income. Dividend income, are you ready? Are you guys ready? Yeah? Okay, please come.
Now pay attention and stop so that people can also listen.
Can we all pay attention now so that we can have questions as well to ask?
We need 4 minutes and all the opportunities. Don't worry, I have it.
So what are the possible business opportunities? I think most of what we identified were more in services. And we said we need to build the mindset of how can I be the middleman, between the manufacturer or the seller and the customer. One of the first things we looked at was something like counseling. We said we live in a time, mental health, I have issues and all that. So if you can position yourself like the middleman between the patient and the hospital, because the hospital is already overwhelmed with all these issues. If you can position yourself in that middle, you will get it. Another thing we looked at was there are quite a lot of, not a lot, it's building up, but there are also services you can play where, for example, if you want to write a contract, you don't necessarily need to go to a lawyer or something. There are templates online, that you can use to draw contracts and all these services. Another one is delivery and logistics, which is a very, very huge one. One of the things we said was you don't necessarily need to recreate these things. If you just watch what a DHL, permit me to call those names, UPS and all that, they're actually struggling. So it's not a case of you saying they've already captured the market or we as customers are satisfied. So if you can fill that gap in delivery stroke logistics, it will go a long way. Another thing we looked at was automotive repairs. Someone gave an example. He had an issue with his car yesterday and it took him 4 hours to get a recovery van. So why have we not picked up something like that? You don't necessarily need to be the one you don't need to buy. We know we live in an economy where you don't need to buy those things, you can hire and all that. Another thing we looked at was consulting. You know, all these things that we said services. I think last but not the least is customer service. Customer service. A lot of businesses need this service so that it bridges that gap between you and I, the customer, who they've delivered either a good or a service to, and it has not worked out the way it should be. So they need somebody to help, you know, discuss with the customer and all that. On that goods, we didn't have much time. One of the things we talked about was apps. You know, gives you the opportunity to bring either your good or service, you know, into every mobile device in our age. So we've not really discussed too much. Sorry, my table. Am I in line? Okay. We did not discuss, sir. Round up. Okay. The last part was just looking at what can we do to achieve these opportunities. Like we said, we did not discuss that in detail, but one of the key things we've said is we need to, how do we position ourselves as middlemen? So you're helping both sides. You're helping the business and you're also helping the customer. And please, it's not that you ask, don't look for one big thing out of the box. Easy things that we face. Praise God. Okay. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, the next table. So what's the name of dividend income? Are you guys ready here? Okay.
Praise God. So my group is dividend income, seated there. And we looked at the barriers to business growth. Now, we decided to split the barriers because they are internal barriers and external barriers to business growth, which we do identify. So the first one for the internal barriers, we first mentioned knowledge or lack of training, right? Lack of knowledge or training is the first internal barrier, filling your mind with things you need to fill with. The second point is a mindset change, which we believe that it can actually be a barrier to business growth. If you as a business leader, you do not have an open mind. The third one we identify for internal barriers is a lack of business strategy. Now, usually this is one of the most abused words in business, and I really hate it, but sometimes we just have to use it. Now, strategy is meaning how we are going to do what we need to do. So sometimes the how about what we want to do is not really clear, and due to that, the business doesn't grow. The fourth one is communication. How do we pass the message of your business in 20 seconds, in 10 seconds as a business owner or as an investor or whoever you want to talk to? The third one, the next category, which is external, we identify the first one, which is culture. Being able to embrace the culture you are hoping to reach out into. The second point is network access. We do identify that for some businesses to succeed, you need to enter into some circles of network. And we do recognize that within that, there's a barrier, an external barrier to business growth. The third one, external, is access to funds. So depending, well, some can argue it, but depending on where you are and what you want to do, there's either high risk or low risk. And due to that, you can have limitations with access to funds. And the last one, but not the least, is the evolving market and environment. So what we did identify is that there are external forces, as Porter will have it, and the external forces, you can have control over them and you may not have control over them. And an evolving market is a constant external threat to growth. It can also be an opportunity, but it can also be a challenge to growth. Thank you.
Any question, please? Oh, okay. So, fine.
Point number one. What's point number one?
External is culture. Culture, yeah. Any question?
think we talked about the culture in relation to the environment we are, but I'm also looking at the culture side of things amongst most of us that are here. Some change we need to have to be able to build business, like time management, things like that. There are a lot of things that some of us have that we need to have a shift from before we can actually be able to maybe prosper in business in this environment.
Any question? I think there was a hand at the back there.
Hand, okay.
Just hold on.
Consideration. Some of those things that we do are highly regulated, with a lot of things to consider. So the regulatory aspect and knowledge of what we need to have in place, certifications and trainings. So I cannot provide counseling without some foundational training. Amen.
Very good points. Your point is to improve the external externals. So if you want the training, for example, you want to be so you want the training, you want to be a quality inspector, you need to have an ISO certificate or a NEBOSH or whatever. So you need to gather the knowledge. And also, the training is dependent on the kind of environment or market you are hoping to serve. So you can't go and get a catering certificate if you want to serve in an accounting firm, right? It has to be relevant. Okay. So it's a very good point, but it sits between these, bridging both internal and external. So thank you so much for your contribution. I think there's one more hand at the back there. We can take it.
Thank you, sir. I wanted to ask about risk, because I know as a businessman, risk is a serious factor. So I wanted to know, is it under internal or external?
So risks is a very big topic, and they are experts on risk, but it depends on the type of risk you are talking about. There's financial risk, there's people risk, there's, I can list many types of risk. However, you need to measure the risks, okay? There are internal risks, and an internal risk could be a lack of an open mind, where you yourself, you are a risk to your business, because if, for example, like he mentioned, you need to go meet another business partner, you go late, you're a risk to your business. Another external risk to business could be the market you're hoping to invest in is an evolving market. For example, let's say you want to set up an oil and gas service company and you want to sell drill bits. I don't know if you saw this week, it was published that the UK drilled another dry well, right? So you don't want to be investing in that area because it's a market risk, and it renders a financial risk because whoever is going to give you money for that particular market needs to be sure that there is market intelligence enough to justify that there will be a return on investment. So I do recognize that there are two risks there. So yeah, I hope I answered your question. Thank you so much to the group. A round of applause to my group, please. Okay.
Next is profit, capital gains, income.
Thank you, feel welcome.
Praise the Lord. This is a very big duty for me to do. Anyway, I'll have my backing from my team. All right. So we asked to look into our environment and see what will be the business opportunity to give us more fund or cost or money to our income. So first thing, we try to look into our SWOT analysis to see what is good and what is bad in our environment that we can leverage on to give us more income. So we look into the harbor services. There's a new harbor here back in Tori, which we can look into having forward and clearing agent services there that one can actually leverage on that can bring more income. That's the first one. The second one is that we look into influx of students into the country, to the harbor, and that could lead us into having a buy-to-let property or buy to sell property, and having a kind of a flip over where you buy all this dilapidated property that you can rebuild and get it to sell it on time, and Airbnb can be another opportunities. So the next thing we look into is the valeting. car wash. We had an example back in Morrison that there is an African guy there really there right now, and people are actually queuing in order to valet their car. So it's another opportunity. Also, somebody also mentioned photography, that having a small passport photograph costs a lot. So it's another area we can leverage on. Recreational services, that one actually being contested in terms of what kind of a category of people will this one attract? But based on a startup, we can actually look into it and see probably it could bring a little bit of income. So we look into the corner shop or convenience shop that most of the Asians also dominated. Good, we have one or two Africans doing similar thing happening here, but it's another opportunity because everybody wants to eat one food or the other, and food business will never crash. And then lastly, we look into the e-commerce business. This one's what lately agree in the group, that e-commerce business could also be another little source of income, whereby people can buy and sell on Amazon, Shopify, ST, and then buy product from Alibaba. So those are the area we look into. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that's the first question here.
Okay.
Praise God. Thank you very much, Pastor Lyle.
Brother.
Don't fear not. I'm just thinking really because some of the opportunities there's something called barriers to entry, right? So if the barrier to entry is low, that means it's easy to get into the business.
Yeah.
And by inference, that means that market will be crowded. So I'm just wondering if we're going to be getting into businesses, would it not be worthwhile to see how easy it is to get? Take for example, well, like food business, barrier to entry is very low. So it's going to be a crowded market. So if you're going to go into that business, how do you intend to make it different or profitable enough? So I think that's something that we need to consider, not just because, I can have a kitchen, just start. Is it going to be profitable long term? How am I going to be different from every other person that's doing it?
All right, thank you so much, sir. If we are to go back into business entry, the first thing I think we need to look into deeply is that what are the regulations backing up what you're going to do? Will you be registering? Because if it's just a kind of a easy entry, anybody can just put up any shop around the corner. But here in this country, there is no any business you can do without not registering the business. Whereby from the last speaker, we had, when he was talking about risk analysis of what you need to do. The regulatory body will need to look into what kind of a business are you doing. It has to be properly scrutinized before you've been allowed into the business. And again, funding could be another kind of an issue, because if I have a £20,000, then probably I can just go into it. Yes, it could be an issue, but here in Aberdeen, we have a business gateway that gives a lot of advice as to what and how you can start a business and to make it a successful one, and no one influence into it or refer just going into the business anyhow. I hope that answers, or if not, my group can complete the answers.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. There is a question here in a double barrel, fashion, 1A, 1B. It's all centered around online trading. So
Okay.
I don't know if you did anything. So, but the question is, is online trading of all kind a valid means of alternative income? And then the second option, the second question, 1B of it is, I need to know if it is safe to allow a trader to trade for me.
Yeah, that is very perfect. With the online trading, I think I can be able to say more on that. So for the online trading, for anyone to go into online trading, the first thing to be done is to register your business as a limited company or as a sole trader, which after that has been done, depending on the platform you want to be trading or on your own website. So the next thing is your platform needs to approve whatever you're doing. And then there is a kind of a payment you're going to be making every month on that. So can I allow someone to do it for me? Yes. People do a lot of things over there online in terms of, for example, on Amazon, you can sit in your corner of the house and somebody elsewhere can be doing all your reading, putting up products, putting up stock, cover it for you. And at the end, you smile to the bank. So, yeah, it's possible.
Okay. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Forex, yeah.
Okay.
With Forex now. So,
Okay, with the Forex, to be honest, I've got a little knowledge of Forex, which I'm not an expert, but from, okay. Anybody?
Okay. Is it still, yeah? Anybody want to help him?
On the Forex
side of things,
trading.
online trading, Forex via Forex indices.
Yeah. Praise the Lord. I think it's possible because there are different platforms which you can register to start trading in your Forex. It's not something you can do individually that you go to a bank and say you want to go and trade in Forex or in stocks, but you have to register in a platform. And through that platform, you're giving access. I mean, at times, some of the platforms do have a dummy, something that give you opportunity to practice for a while how to trade, and they give you the trading, and they give you how to do it. And I think one of the questions, can somebody do it for you? I know there's a platform called eToro, which kind of allow people to copy another person's trading, which you can copy and trade with it. So it's also possible. And if you can, and also it's also possible, if you have the cash, if you have the money, you can go to fund managers. They will the one that will hold the fund for you, and they'll trade on your behalf, and they can return back to you your benefit if they make profit. And if there's loss, you also have to partake in the liability as well.
Does that answer your question? Oops. Okay, more hands. Okay, we are just mindful of time. So I will just, Cyril has a question. The first, okay, an answer to the question raised by, Broval. Let him just.
Yeah, Broval, I know he answered the question, but I also had some thoughts. That's why I wanted to share with you. You asked a question, it's very interesting. You said, how do you play in a market, a crowded market? So in playing a crowded market, and you also asked about the barriers to entry. If the barriers to entry are low, it means you have a crowded market, which is very true. However, there are two decisions that you need to take as a business there. The first decision, or two options. The first option is to choose you are going to be a differentiator on product or experience. And the second one is you would differentiate on price. So in a crowded market, you can choose. I can give you two quick examples. Food is an example, right, of a crowded market. And in that crowded market, you can choose to sell very high-end food, which nobody else sells in the market. And although it's a crowded market, you have differentiated by focusing on serving caviar and molded cheese from Sweden. In the same food market, somebody's playing in that same market. Then you can also go very cheap, which we see with the Chinese shops. So what they do is that they sell everything very, very cheap. And when you go to the shop, and you calculate having to drive from your home to an Asda or Tesco, and you come back and you cook it, and you calculate the cost of actually even the utilities you will use to cook it, you find out that it's way cheaper. But then with that option, to benefit from economies of scale or diseconomies of scale. Yeah, you need to have volume.
Thank you. One more question. MBA. Right, okay. Yeah. Okay, there's more question here.
Okay, I just wanted to contribute on the Forex and the crypto. Normally you advise if you have to, like even eToro can be very risky if you're trading, because they will tell you on the disclaimer, which I know most of us don't have time to read, we just click. But you see your money just diminish and disappear. So we always advise cryptocurrency can make you rich overnight based on the quantity and the volume you're buying. So we say invest, discover, do a research. We have a lot of links you can check through. do a research, find a potential coin that you know in the next, maybe like Ripples, there's some coin that you know in the next 5 years is going to go boom because of the services or the company behind it. And then you buy it. So if you like 2015, I bought a coin, very little amount. If I'd known it's going to go up to $1, I would have bought a lot. And then after 5 years, I made almost 30,000 from it. 30,000 from it because of the volume I bought. So imagine if I bought 1 million volume, I would have made at least £1 million or dollars on it. So I would advise, if you don't have knowledge, just invest and give it time. Maybe invest for your kids' university or whatever and give it time. Then I'm sorry to say, but we keep saying the market is crowded. There's no crowded market. There's no crowded market. And that's why I say you have to check on the passion, check on the business idea, find out what the niche, yeah, that's the word, what people are not doing right. You don't need to do everything they are doing. Just focus on that one. Be persistent. One thing again, people that do work morning shift, afternoon shift like us, we want to go into it today and start making profit tomorrow. But a businessman knows sometimes I need to wait for 1 year to make the profit. So I would say find that niche and then we can capitalize on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can I just? Oh, right. Okay. All right. So because of time, it's quite an interesting topic actually, especially to do with this online forex trading, right? But unfortunately, we are constrained by time, so we just need to move on. No. So let's get done with this row, this column now, and then we'll move over to this other side. So, Odion, are you presenting? Yeah, Apostle Odion. Let's get him. Welcome.
It's a big privilege to sit in the midst of ministers. So when I came in, I said, sit here, I was like, okay. I started seeing minister coming, I said, wow, am I in the wrong table? Pastor said. Anyway, most of the points we have here have already been said by the table behind us. So, but I discovered that we already know what to do. But what is our major problem is either finance or procrastination. Procrastination, why I say procrastination is like 7 years ago, I think me and Damisi joke about it today. Me and my daughter used to watch Peppa Pig. And every year or every day, Peppa Pig would say, I'll change this sofa. I'll change this sofa. I'll change this sofa. Then the daughter said, Daddy, you are beginning to sound like the real Peppa Pig. When are you going to change the sofa? So one day, I also told my daughter that I'm going to be a trucker one day. I'm going to be a trucker. Every day, I'll be telling my daughter, I'm going to be a trucker. I'll buy trucks, fleet of trucks. So one day, my daughter said, you are beginning to sound like Peppa Pig. So in essence, we've talked about farming, agriculture. We all know what the food is all about these days. Food is expensive. If you have a niche to be a farmer, there's a huge market there. Farming is a big business, not just here in the UK, even in Africa as well. Then real estate, we talked about that. You can buy property. If it's only just one, there's big money there. Then training courses. You can generate training courses and share knowledge all over the place. It could be online, it could be face-to-face, consultancy as well. Then care agency, our Oga. Our Oga talked about care agency. And if you look at it, the aging population in the UK is massive. And if you get one care home, that is a generational legacy. So it's something we just need to look into. The online trading, They said it already. I don't want to repeat ourselves. Delivery. You guys know I was a product of delivery. I used to be a delivery driver for 5 years. But if you can go into it, it's a good business. Food. Who is here without food? Food is very, very important. And is an area where, especially with the influx of students now, if it's African food you want to sell, it's okay. Look at the Asians. Look at the Glory, for example. Market is not ever saturated. What is saturated is saturated procrastination. Then, yeah, look into food business is an opportunity. SaaS, that is service as a user, right? Software, sorry, my apology. I don't know too much about that. So, yeah, I think that's about everything we just discussed about. Yeah.
Questions, any questions? Question, okay.
Senator, take it easy.
Thank you, Senator. No, the one you gave us an example that you did delivery for 5 years. What prevented you from scaling up so that you have others doing it for you as well?
I stopped. My finance was really depleted. We are all brothers here, so I ran out of finance, so I couldn't really progress with it. So it was really, really challenging, especially when you have family to feed. So it was a difficult thing. So I couldn't just, but again, it's something I'm still looking up to because it will give you that opportunity, that privilege to be a business owner, responsible to anybody, So, but yeah, sometimes I can still look into, but don't look because I stop. You want to stop, don't stop.
Any more question or contribution? Okay.
So are we saying them? I think maybe the assumption is that there's lack of finance. I think some of the things I've noticed for most of the people who do businesses at that level, even though you have your own small capital you put, they usually depend on a little bit of external investors. So maybe that's the part that you need to look at. How do you access finance to support this? I think maybe Pastor Will. Okay.
Yeah, so my hand was up, not to ask a question, but to just contribute and help you there. What we could do really is don't just look at your bank account, but look at your potential. So within you, there is, a line or list of friendships or relationships. There are companies out there that are willing to lease vans, lease cars. So instead of you going out and buying your own vehicle, team up with 2 or 3, come up with, a courier company and use your equity in your own employment. You have got evidence of your pay slips, evidence of your job you have kept for the past 5 years. Lenders look at those things. You have got evidence of some trading you've done in the past. Lenders look at those things. So don't necessarily look at what cash you've got in your account. So I think you can still revisit that opportunity and get a fleet of trucks for your daughter, really.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, praise the Lord.
Yeah, I want a bit of explanation on the business opportunities in the areas of software as a service. Thank you. Software services.
Software as a service. I pass that to. Yeah.
Praise the Lord. I think it's just for us to look inward, and all of us here we have apps on our phone, and you are paying £9 every month. That's software as a service. They give it to you free of charge. All the apps we use, you get it at the initial free. You test it, it's working for you, and then after a while they tell you, you begin to pay £9. They tell you they'll give you storage. That's software as a service. So it's for you to look forward to see what software can you develop? Even among ourselves, we are paying, as a church, we're using Church Suite. It's software as a service. We are paying the company every month. So it's for each of us to look at what can we come up with that will meet, like we all know, a need. Then there's a huge amount of people that will need it. You can start with just paying there's some app on the App Store that is just 90 pence, 50p. And they are looking at 1 million of people using that app for 50p. So I think that's what the software service is. It's for you to use the service and they know that you are forever until, God forbid, until when you are 100 years old. That's the plan. You'll be paying that money from now till when you are there because you are still using the service. That's why it's a model for all online, your Microsoft Word, your Office suites, and all these stuff.
Thank you very much, excellent men, for always having this forum. Each time I come, I get blessed, and today is not an exception. We have all of this business, but what I just want to put as a challenge is that don't let us leave it as an individual business or individual project so that we could all succeed together. You see, if we leave it, we leave this place, oh, which one? And I'm looking for care of consultancy, this guy looking at our food business, looking at that Korea business. We may end up struggling in our own little homes, looking for ideas, looking for fun, and then we struggle. And we look at a possibility for us to collaborate. Some of us, we are in 9 to 5. We don't have the time to drive business, but we want to do business. And we have some people that also have the time to do business. They don't have the idea or they don't have the fund. So you see that we can complement ourselves. So, but I want, if by the grace of God, the settlement can drive this, form a kind of a forum where we will pick up all of the things we have listed today. Let's pick up maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and then come up at people that have interest. Is your interest in logistics? Is your interest in this? Then we form a group and see how we could collaborate. Many years ago, we formed a group. Sorry, do I have 1 more minute? Awesome. So many years ago, we formed a group, and we want to do property business in this town. 6 of us, and we decided that look, we could, if that means if we are able to put 2,000 together, 6 of us, we have 12,000, and then we can do that in under 6 months. Meaning that 6 of us as a group, we could buy 2 properties in a year. If we are able to do 2,000 twice in a year. But as an individual, I may not be able to do. I have my 2,000, but it's not sufficient for me to do anything. Then maybe another 2 or 3 years, we'll be looking at there's no fund. Something will now come and deplete the 2,000 again, and then you start all over. But if we collaborate and say, okay, 6 of us form a group, you put 2,000, we have already on that day one, we have 12,000, and we can begin to look for property. So then we form a business. Then in the next 6 months, we put another 2,000, we have already 12,000. And then we bought 2. Before we know, in 2 or 3 years, we will have 6 properties that will go around of us and we'll begin to replicate it. But it didn't work. We got to that point that at the point of the first, we begin to see if some people are having limitations of how to access funds, a limitation of credit issues and all of that. We now slow down. And then 1 or 2 people among us started on their own. And they are employers of labor. They have people, having properties all over just now in Glasgow, Edinburgh, and doing it. So I want also to say that we can still replicate such idea among ourselves, so that people that are doing 9 to 5, they don't really have the time much, but they have fund. You can put fund on the table. Some people have the time and they have the idea, they are looking for fund. Then we complement ourselves and see how we could drive so that we move forward. When we come next time, we say we have formed a business. There are other, the gateway, one of our brothers mentioned gateway. These are all platforms for us to access and get informations and guidance and even funding. They can direct us. So I want to see us, if we can collaborate at that level of, like our brother mentioned, care agency, for example.
is an expert, is a professional in that area, he can provide training. He may not be able to be at the forefront of the business to be running all around and looking for, but then if there is training, he provides the training, who is available to do the run, to do the but who can collaborate. Can we collaborate? I think we should look at that focus, where we can collaborate.
Thank you, sir. Oh, okay.
I think it's the right point for me to bring in a suggestion here. Having counsel people with practical challenge in this area. Perfect, but there are a few hurdles to scale. Number one hurdle, you must always do book in the sense that have a legal document concerning what everybody is bringing to the table. You may never need it, but it creates a lot of confidence within the group. Don't just, two usually might be too small in number because it can become personal. But you have a group of 4, 6, possibly an odd number. All these ones have got practical example of how things actually went belly up. And people become enemies because of that, Pastor. So good idea. But when we are ready to do that, I may be able to share from my up to 6 major experiences, because in the battle position that I am, I could see what went wrong, and but it's viable, very good. Collaboration and partnership is good, but there are definite safeguards that must be put in place to make it work well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Right, last group, interest income.
I will reach my door 4 minutes. Amen. 2 minutes. Indeed, it's going to be very brief because most of the areas that we have touched on has also been contributed to by colleagues. And one thing here is that we were just looking at barriers to collaboration, which has been key, as everyone has been mentioning. One key thing I want to bring up from that aspect is lack of trust and quality. So oftentimes we find out that we don't collaborate because we don't trust each other, and also because we don't all bring in the same standard. So you see people, I want this standard of production. This one comes, you own too much. Why must I wake up 7 a.m.? Because I need to be in the office. Why must I be, so these are things, and lack of consistency. So as Nigerians, I'm not saying it is our peculiar issue, but we tend to fluctuate in our service delivery. I'm speaking to my people. Yeah. So basically with this, you find out that is really key barriers to collaboration in particular. And the other thing is we've talked a lot around niche and finding your own space, which is market fit. So many a times why our business don't grow is because we just want to do it. It is the Guinness World Record. Yeah. So because of that, everyone would want to identify, everyone wants to do that business without proper market research. So a key thing is for us to actually have our business grow, we need to do proper market research. Understand what the pain points are for your targeted customers or consumers. And the other bit which has really been echoed is network. As I say, I know a few of my colleagues that you reach out to for an idea, but they just would tend to kind of give you distance. Now, you really need to be able to network in order to, work to achieve all these ideas that we are talking about. It's not a one-person thing. You have to collaborate. And so what that simply means that we need to begin to identify those groups, those communities, those areas that require that. And that comes with lack of knowledge or information. Some of us don't know where to belong. We don't know which kind of community is right for us. And as a result of that, we don't do all that. So one other key issue, as I round it up, is the law, the policy. Some of us are students and we know that you cannot do business as a student. But then there is, I won't call it a loophole, there is an opportunity whereby universities offer startup programs, whereby you can actually be sponsored to do startup as a student. At least I know my uni will do that. So in that case, you can still be a student and have your business idea being funded, supported, and yet overcoming that challenge. And all of this centers around our pestle analysis, whereby we understood the political, the environmental, the social constraint, your knowledge in terms of technology, legal, and sustainability areas around all of this. Any questions?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You see, I can see lots of hands. And unfortunately, they say when you're having fun, time flies. You know, it's something we should have, you know, even given 2 hours to, you know, and we won't be able to exhaust it, honestly. You know, but due to time constraint, we do have other, you know, programs on the menu. Unfortunately, we won't be able to take more questions at this point in time, but we could make this. Yeah. Yeah. So, but at the end of the next item, we will continue to give room for more questions and answers. I do have questions myself, you know, that I would love to ask, but if we can just wait, please, you know, we do have AOB, you know, later on. If at the end of the day, the AOB is not sufficient, then we will make it part 3 series. Right. Okay. So, if we just go to the next, which I think is online. Yeah. If IT people are ready, then I'm getting on from there.
Praise the Lord. We are really blessed that we have all these in us and around us. So the information that we have, the business opportunities. So we look at the opportunities that we have around us and some of the barriers that is preventing growth in our community. So the one I took away is there's no saturated markets. So there's no saturated markets. We just need to do it, look at the risk and launch into it. And the other one, the collaboration. We need to collaborate together, come together and leverage together for us to scale higher. So the next item on the program is the presentation. So we have a speaker that will be joining us online. Unfortunately, he's not able to join us physically, but he's online waiting and he will be joining us. Is Dr. Tosin Obata. So he's a businessman as well. He started from about nothing and now he's got a multi-million pounds business and he's going to be talking to us about it, how he went about it. He's going to be sharing his secret with us. So let us put our hands together and welcome Dr. Obata.
Thank you very much, the man of the first Fountain of Love. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? No, my mic is not muted right now. It's working. Can you hear me? Someone said they can hear me, so
just let him know that we are not hearing yet, so that
I can hear you.
say I hear you.
I can hear you from here.
It's unmuted already.
Yeah, my mic is unmuted. It's working. Maybe I'm at the other device. The other device. I only have one device. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I think those online can hear me, or those on the side cannot. Am I right? Those online, can you hear me? Okay. So I think it's the audio on the side. Hello, sir. Those that are online can hear me, but those on site cannot. The people online said that you need to switch their audio device. Real-time device needed to switch. I'm talking right now. My mic is not muted. Those online can hear me, but those on site cannot. Okay, sir. I'll just stand by. All right, sir. Hello. Hello.
Technical issue. That's one opportunity that we need to look into. So we've talked about SaaS. The SaaS, software accessibility. So because of the technical issue, we just want to swap the program around. So we bring the next speaker on that we take it over. And then later on, we have Dr. Obata to speak to us. So the next speaker that we have to speak to us, I don't know how to introduce because he's a great man. He's a businessman. He's a man of God. a good father, a good husband, a husband of one wife, is a terror to the kingdom of the devil. He's done so much. He's been around for a while, for a long time, and he's doing things. He has seen, and he's still doing by the grace of God. And he's a very successful accountant as well. So, great men of God, let's put our hands together as we welcome Pastor Will take us through the next session.
Good afternoon again, everyone. I thought he was introducing somebody else. I didn't know that he was going to be referring to me. Sir, the great man is sitting right in front of me here right now. Thank you so much for having me this afternoon. And I was just whispering to Pastor earlier on that apparently, I just remember that I was the first men's leader or leader of the men's group of Fountain of Flower. That was back in 1999, Pastor, I think, yeah, for about 2 or 3 years. Before I handed the baton over to Brother Bab Somoto, who then did marvelous things, and then more marvelous things, and now much more marvelous things are happening in the Sons of Abraham. So I don't see myself as qualified to be able to speak to us here this afternoon, but I was even getting surprised with myself, really, that all the ideas I thought I had, we have exhausted them already. So it might just be a different twist or different style of presentation or of bring across the thoughts, but let's look at the ideas as an expansion, or maybe let me say in addition to what we have already expanded on. All right. So before we go to the next slide, this particular verse, it's, I think, your anchor scripture, isn't it? Or let me say, it's our anchor scripture for this event. In the morning, sow your seed, and in the evening, do not withhold your hand. For you do not know which will prosper, either this or that, or whether both alike will be good. It's one of those scriptures I've used personally for many years, and I think at a point it has put me into deep trouble because I've ended over committing myself to many things, thinking, wow, let me try this one. Let me try that one. At the same time, thinking I have the capacity. So just a quick warning to anybody here that just bear in mind the things you are able to carry and just put brakes. But there's also power of focus. But at the same time, let's not forget the power of the word of God. So if God says, there are 2 fields you can plant your seed, he's simply implying that there are more things you can do with your hands than just the one you think you have planted into or onto. Praise God. All right. So I thought I would tell a story. So there was this town, which I think Cyril is already noting, he knows where the story is going to go. But basically, when you're in business school like this, you hear so many interesting stories. And this is one of them I got some years back. The town suddenly had drought. And these 2 guys discovered a spring of fresh water just across, just stop there, don't move the slides for a moment. So you can see those guys here, they are scampering, trying to get some water to drink. So one of the guys quickly took 2 buckets, just press one key on the slides and see what happened. He discovered, I can supply water to this town and make money for myself. You can see him here, that white guy, and he was so happy. Change, I think he was charging, let's just, assume he was charging £5 per bucket. He worked and worked and worked and discovered he went too quickly to the next slide, but never mind. So after a while, a month, 2, 3, 5 months, the man got so exhausted, he needed to go on holiday, there's no income. And he got unwell, there's no income. So that tells you something. That manual labor is good, but there's something better than manual labor. Meanwhile, while he was busy carrying water, with his 2 buckets, this other person decided, look, let me find an idea
Can I come up with a concept of supplying this water without necessarily carrying it? So he started investing bit by bit. In the day, during the day, will be at work. In the night time, because he was told by the word of God, don't let your hands be idle. He started digging a trench, laid a pipe, joined bits here, bits there, hired a welder. 6 months later, he had a pipe. So suddenly, he was now selling water even at a much cheaper price, $3 per bucket. Meanwhile, he could go on holiday and he's all over the country and the world, really. The pipe started supplying water to that city. It was making money. Praise God. Passive income and active income. So there are some businesses actually that are like active income. Some years back when we started the accountancy business back in 2010, it was a very active income. Perhaps more active than the one I was doing at my other day job. Yeah, and 5 or so years later, I discovered, look, I can't carry on like this. Let me find another, maybe semi-passive, but thing with passive income. I'm kind of going ahead of myself here, but let me just empty it. You have to work in advance to then get the passive income, just like what that guy did with his pipeline. So on the next slide, I thought, let me just put in I didn't realize that you guys are going to be discussing this. So I don't have to talk about this anymore because you've already gone through it. So this is a picture form of what we have been asked to present. And part of what we have presented here, I'm going to touch on them in a slightly different fashion. So you can see the 7 streams of income. But you guys, you said millionaires have 7 streams of income, and you were right in saying so, because most of these streams here, if not 90% of them, you have to have money before you can actively participate in earning them. But maybe not most of us are at that level yet. So let's go back a few steps in order for us to reach the spot where we have this kind of resource. I was talking to Limitless some weeks back, and I had some 15 myth busters that you don't always have to have capital to start a business. So you don't always have to have capital. We need to change our mindset, completely shift from the thought, I must have money to make money. You can have nothing and can start making money. I was quite keen to hear what Dr. What's his name again? He's going to come and talk to us about how he started his property business. All right, so you can start good business without capital. Let's go to the next slide. All right, I can go with my notes here. So I thought to illustrate, just stop there for a second. We are going to do one click at a time, yeah? We are going to discuss these things very, very quickly. But I thought, look, let me answer 3 questions. Ranking any of these ideas in terms of time, because these are the key resource each person has got. We have got time, which is the biggest asset we've got. We are carrying. We have got money, or we are trying to get money. And then let's just analyze and see, out of all the ideas we have, which one is the best to help us make a quick $100 or £100 per week. Yeah. So I came up with dividend stocks again from your circulation there. 3 types. Don't need to worry about the technical names there, but they are what we call King's dividends. They are usually earned from companies that have existed for over 50 years, and they've been making consistently increasing dividends. Or in other words, they've been making profits year on year for at least minimum 50 years. A good example is Starbucks. So you can invest in Starbucks, maybe your whatever amount of money, and then they pay, I'll just use Starbucks as an example. They currently pay 2.4% return on the investment. So it's like an interest, but it's a dividend. So every quarter you get a quarter of the amount you have invested, you'll be paid at the end of the year. Simple point put across. There is what we call aristocrats. These are companies that have been making profits for at least 25 years, year on year. So you can actually do a scan of the market. Brother Tunde, you were talking about investing in stocks or in currencies. It's a similar approach you can use. Without going into too much detail, aristocrats are companies that can actually give you a good return. My own classification, they only stop at two. I came up with a third one called working class. So working class are those companies like one of yours and one of mine that are just starting or that have been on the go for the past 10 years or so. We haven't really established a steady track record. Some of them will end up becoming aristocrats, some of them will become kings in time, but some of them will actually disappear from the radar. So whenever you are making investment in dividends or you are trying to get a return on dividends, be sure you are careful enough to scan through the market. And again, there are different industry sectors you need to look at. Personally, I like the food sector, but I like going back to the source. We'll talk about that in a minute. So in terms of the ranking, 5 being the most difficult, 1 being the easiest. So time, in terms of investing in dividend income, is very easy. Brother Tunde, you spoke of that app. Yeah. There's also another one called Lightyear. eToro is usually, it's mainly for Americans or in America, but Lightyear is generally known in UK here. 5 minutes later, you are already hooked up using your phone. And in terms of some of the apps, you can actually get free trading stock to start with. Some of them, they even give you tutorials on how to do it. But be careful what our brother said earlier, that you can have a lot of investment put in there, but wiped out the following day. In terms of money, it's a very expensive business. Going back to my Starbucks example, I worked out in order for you to get £100 per week, which is £5,200 per year, but we work for 52 weeks. And with a return of 2.4%, you need to invest 216,666 just to earn £100 a week. Wow. So that's where people differ. So personally, I have not invested in stocks because I like something that is tangible, something that I can smell, something that I can touch, something I can experience. So we are just different. So go to the next one, next type of income. So automate the hustle. I'm just using common language here. There are some things that you and I like to do. If we can automate that, you know, I got private tuition here. Let me tell you how you can automate it. Come up with a platform where you bring on that platform learners who are looking for tutors and tutors who are looking for learners. So basically speaking, develop something that those two can come together. Be a middleman. In this technology world or age, you can actually develop that. Or you want to start your own tuition business. Yeah, private tuition. Come up with your own app, with your own website, and then do your TikTok videos and all that, and flood the market with you. Or cooking. I was thinking about this cooking thing because it seems to be very popular among ourselves. Again, we've got so many examples of apps where people log in, go buy food, and it's get delivered. How about if you come up with your own app, which is pleasantly branded African? There's nothing wrong in doing that. Make that one the differentiating factor. Siri was mentioning something there where you go to compete on the market. compete on price or on difference. I can be of high quality or low quality, be the low quality branded very Nigerian or very African. People want something different. When you do that, bring all your Nigerian colleagues in town, come and sell your food on this app here. So you have successfully automated your hustle, but in a clever way. Just an example. Or learner drivers. You can do the same thing as well, come up with your own website or with the same concept. Now, the barriers to entry, you don't have to be techie, you know. There are free website builders. Most of you guys will know this better than I do, but there are websites like Squarespace or Hostinger, or I believe there are now AI web developers. Brother Daniel, am I right? So you can actually come up with your very clever website very quickly without necessarily spending that lots of money. But you just need to invest time. So in terms of time, I'm saying 3 out of 5. In terms of money investment required, maybe 1 out of 5. You don't really need a lot of money for that. In terms of earning £100 per week, it's very, I think I made my calculation wrong. They're supposed to be 3 out of 5. It's fairly easy. Once you automate your hustle, then by the time you are in your 5th month or 7th month, the money will start coming in with less of your involvement on the automated project. And then we've got created online content. Again, some of you guys already know this. Once you develop good content, yeah, maybe you have written blogs or written books, or you have gone out, take pictures. You know, you like talking. One of us here, they do TikTok every morning. Very, very brilliant idea. You can come up with cartoons, maybe animations. Once you get 1,000 views or 1,000 subscribers, you start getting money from adverts that get launched on your product. Or if you get 4,000 views, automatically you become a very popular content producer. So again, you start getting that free marketing and advertising income, a piece of that. I've listed this particular YouTube here. This is a children's book, which this particular person, he happens to be, or they happen to be a member of the church. The husband is a chemical engineer who works offshore. The wife works at one of the universities as a technical person. The husband has decided to resign now because that particular YouTube channel is now started bringing in more money than the salary he's been getting per year. How come? They decided to write children's stories, and then they decided to animate the characters. So they were approached by a company in Dubai to develop merchandise on the characters. Yeah. So the characters, very interesting story. So you go to that web YouTube channel and see My Easy Peasy, and you see the characters are there. So the good thing about developing web YouTube content or online content is that once you develop it, it's an asset that will stay on the platforms forever. So in a way, you start getting royalty income in the process. All right, because of our time, we'll move on. But time taken, shall just go back a step for me to complete this. So in terms of time, it will take time to create the content. So be prepared to really put out good content. Otherwise, you waste your time for nothing. In terms of money, really, it's neither here nor there, in my opinion. depending on what content you want to develop, it drives the amount of money you want to put. You could come up with a very good content at a very small meager budget. Earning £100 per week is dead easy. I'm saying dead easy. Why? Because once your content starts engaging with the market, you discover how easy it is that the resources will start coming. All right. Idea number 4. Move my slides, please, to the next slide. Just click one more click. Go back a step. So create a digital tool. I think we spoke about software here. Identify a problem that needs solving, either in business or in the community. And please, guys, let's not underestimate the power of this. As I'm standing before you here, I lost 2 opportunities. In year 2003, I was, doing my chartership training. A group of us were just discussing, just like sitting around this table here in the class in Glasgow. And I was just saying to the guys, look, I work for a company and our directors are in the US. There's this thing, this internet thing. I wish if I could come up with a software that will transmit the financial report automatically to them than for me to print, send by fax, all that. Only to discover 5 years later, one of those guys, I can't remember his name now, he started an online software called Free Agent. Now, Free Agent is now partnered with Royal Bank of Scotland. They flooded the market of SMEs. So each time I look at Free Agent, I said to myself, how did I not think about it? What was the barrier at that time? The barrier was that I don't know how to do IT. But guess what? The brother of the MD, Brenda Bryant, that's the lady who employed me back then. He was the IT manager in the same building with me. I lost an opportunity. I would have just gone to Mark and say, Mark, look, can we come up with this concept here? How can we? So partner with a coder or with an IT software engineer, and you'll be able to overcome that barrier there. So my point here is, please, let's go around, practically speaking, with our notebooks, either on your phone or hand, and write down the ideas that, or the problems that are around you as you go about. It may seem as if it's common knowledge. That's how ideas come. They come as common ideas, but you never know, you may be the only one who's come up with that idea. But what I've learned over the years, Pastor can testify here, is that once you come up with an idea, God will also drop that idea in 1 or 2 other people. As long as you are doing Peppa Pig, you are still procrastinating. Somebody wakes up early morning and they sleep at 2 a.m. They are working on that idea. Boom! A few years later, it's on the market and you start crying foul. All right. So in terms of time, it will take time, but really in terms of money, again, partner with a coder there. In terms of making money, it's a no-brainer. All right. Number 5 idea: lease existing assets. I say your own or others' assets. Exactly. Houses, rooms, driveways, yes, garages, lofts, trailers, cars, serviced apartments. So look around your house. Actually, actively go and do a list of the items you have. You never know how valuable that thing is. There are websites and platforms online right now where you can list your item. Even your spare bedroom. There is this website here, I'm sure you know it already, spareroom.com or .co.uk. Yeah? I mean, we all know Airbnb. I'll show you a few things about Airbnb on my next slide. But when I saw this, Pastor, we went to Zimbabwe, not last year, but the year before. I looked for accommodation on Airbnb to try and save costs for Amscott. I couldn't invite you to that particular one, but I'll show you on my next slide. So now, okay, let me not go ahead of myself. In terms of time, it will take about maybe 3 out of 5 to list all your items. I'm saying you can also list other people's assets. There's a story of a man who was a member of Fountain of Love again. This man started listing his garage in 2009. Yeah. The first year, he made 25,000 pounds from that one garage. He converted it into an apartment, self-contained, and people would drive out to the countryside where he used to stay. And he made money. The second year, his income rose to, shall I tell you the number? I'll tell you, but I won't tell you what happened the subsequent 7 years. So the second year, his income rose to 159,000 because I was doing his books. So please, I'm not sharing this information to disclose confidential info, but I just want you to know exactly how it is potential to really make good gains. That year he resigned from his job. He was a safety manager at one of the oil companies here. He resigned. A few years later, he owned properties in Edinburgh. He bought a hotel, a 5-star hotel in St. Andrews, and on the world famous golf course. You can tell we can see what I'm talking about. Before COVID hit, God opened his eyes and he sold that hotel for millions from a garage. All right. All right, you can see there, money, you don't need much money there. And for $100, £100 per week, it's very easy. Okay, give me my next slide, please. I'm almost coming to and private investing. So there are two types of investors here. There are sharks and there are angel investors. So you can be a shark once you hit your millions, or you can be an angel investor at whatever level you may have your income, depending on the type of projects you have access to. I'm going to show you a few projects in my next couple of slides. So, but my caution is that be very careful, do a clever analysis, and be sure, like Pastor said earlier on, there are many barriers there. Can I trust this person? Do I know them very well? Have you put safeguards in place, like the agreements? By the way, guys, agreements are very, very important. I don't want to repeat what Pastor said, but that's a point right there. So don't be in a haste. But each time you are analyzing these potential investments, just look at the bottom line, but also look at the processes. Look at, is it in a growing market or in a declining market, like Cyril said earlier on. Don't just look at a business as it is today. Look at where it is coming from and where it is going. If it is going to be the energy or the oil and gas industry, be sure that in 50 years, perhaps there won't be any black gold coming out of the ground again. In terms of time, it doesn't take you much time, depending on the resource at your disposal. If you've got spare 30,000 pounds or 10,000 pounds, depending on the project, you can get some good gains there. In terms of money, again, it depends on the projects available, and making the $100 or £100 per month per week you want, it's dead easy. All right, give me my next slide, please. So I want to quickly go back a step. Go back a step, please. You're too quick. I wanted to ask you guys if you know who this person is. You saw my slide, of course. Yeah, so one of the dragons. But do you know that he was born in Botswana, and his mother is Nigerian. His father is British. And he became a millionaire at the age of 23. He is now 30 years old, and his net worth is about 300,000. Yeah? Sorry, I beg your pardon. You are watching. Please give us the next slide. There it is. Yeah. But this guy, you don't have to drop out of college, by the way, to be a millionaire. You just need to use your brain. Please. He did not have any capital. All he simply did was he came up with a number of companies, online businesses, Go and read about him and you learn a lot. Because of my time, let me just go to the next 30-year-old. So Pastor, these are, just click again, one next click. These are Airbnbs I found in Zimbabwe. The owners of these businesses are in UK here. They manage their platform here. And these are in rural areas. So the way they are marketing the business is that, or the houses is that, look, it's come and experience the traditional life of Zimbabwe. And many white folks are flocking there because they want to experience the cows and the donkeys and the goats nearby, and they want to smell the dung and all that. And they are making money. We are busy here. We are busy here. Wondering, how can I invest? One of the things that we do is we want to invest a lot of money in properties, which is okay. But guess what? There is some way you can make the money quicker, but in a very clever way. Praise God. Give us the next slide, just for me to. So here are some ideas. We have access to some projects that are going on in some places. So we spoke about farming here. I didn't know why I was going to be placed in a farming zone, but I love farming. But anyway, this is one of the projects that I came across, just to make you understand. This landowner here is in Zimbabwe. She's looking for investors. She has got land. She has developed all the systems. I think she has invested over $200,000 of her own money. She was able to get an offtake agreement with 3 companies in the UAE. Look at that number at the top there. Offtake agreement signed in UAE with 21 million kgs of seedless watermelons. And seedless watermelons grow in 3 places. In Australia, in Zimbabwe, and some other parts of Nigeria. I think it's Plateau, yes, sir. 3 areas in the whole world. And guess what? The market in UAE is flooded, or not flooded, but it's being supplied largely from Australia, and their type of melon, when it gets to 7 kgs, is a very big melon. But guess what's coming from Plateau State? About 12 kgs, about 15 kgs, one watermelon, same size with the Zimbabwe. So here are the numbers that I ran very quickly when we were discussing with her. You need to invest about either 1 hectare produces that number of kgs. And if you are able to invest 367,000, you can get a 40% equity stake in her business. Those are the earnings there. The actual return on investment in terms of dollar pound for the 40% stake is 216,000. And your payback period is 1.7 years, which is like 1 year and 1 year is 5 months. Okay. Or if you are able to invest for 5 hectares, 687,000 for 40% equity stake. Look at the return on investment. Why? Because the capex remains constant, the opex fluctuates because of the size of the land you are investing on. That's why the return on investment is high at 157%. Look at the millions there. This is the actual income coming to you per year. These numbers here are per crop and per cycle. There are 3 cycles in a year, by the way. All right. So they are potential projects. That's why most European companies and Europeans are flooding to Africa to go and invest. It bleeds. My heart bleeds when I realize most of us, we are. Anyway, let me go to the next slide. These are some of the projects that are available. If you go to that website there, exoticgoldfields.com, you know, we are partly involved with that. But look at these projects here that are live right now. There's one blueberry project in Zimbabwe. Investment required 439,000 for 40% equity stake. ROI is 52%. Payback is 21 months. Now you will be laughing at medicinal cannabis. Please don't laugh at medicinal cannabis. It's actually that name. It's investing in plantations that plant, and this crop is controlled, and it's mainly cropped for pharmaceutical companies. So it's completely safe. It's being used to develop, doctors in the house could agree with me here that I think it's a new and discovered area yet where the medicine that will come from there will heal many type of chronic diseases. All right. So we were doing an analysis between platinum versus medicinal cannabis. We discovered that, did I say platinum? Lithium. Lithium is one of the most loved mineral right now because of where we are going with the electric cars. Long story cut short, it's possible to team up with 1 or 2, 3, or maximum perhaps 6 people if you can, 10 I would say at most. Consider a project, whether within the country, either the truck's idea. I've got a knack for car companies, by the way. So I think that's about it, really, Pastor. Saying Pastor now. I'm so used to Pastor, you see. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. That's about the end of my presentation here for the sake of my time. All right. Any question or do I take questions right now? Or at the end? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you so much. Just note your questions. We are really crushed for time. So we have our presenter online. So we'll just try and get his presentation and we'll try and address everything after our daddies gets to speak. Praise God.
Good afternoon. Sorry, good morning, everyone. I hope we can hear me now. Can we hear me now? Can we hear me? Can we hear me? So those online can hear. Let me know if you can hear me from the side. Let me know if you can hear me from side. Hello.
No, just test. That's the one, yes.
Hello. So if hello, can you hear me? Hello, hello.
Can you talk, sir? Can you talk? Let's hear you.
Hello, sir.
Can we talk?
Hello. Hello.
Can you talk?
Yeah, I'm talking now.
Yeah, you're talking.
I'm talking.
If you can keep talking, sir.
Okay, okay. Hello. Fountain of love. Maybe we can just leave phone for on. Does that work?
No, it's on you. That's strange.
Use your phone and just.
Microphone can work.
But that's true. You can try it, but
This microphone will not work. This one again.
The brother that is calling me, if you can use your phone, does that not work?
Can the house hear me?
I can hear him. But when you put this, it doesn't work.
I am still talking. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Excellent man of the Fountain of Love. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I don't think it's from my end. I think it's thank you for that feedback. Brother. Hello, everyone. Hello. Excellent man of the Fountain of Love. It's a very good man.
Go. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't think it's from my end. I think it's thank you for that feedback. Hello.
Looks like we're good.
Hello. I don't think my voice is coming out in real time. So now that this phone has gone off, we cannot hear you. Yeah, so I think it's one and I told this thank you for that. Hello, sir. Hello. Hello. My phone. Yeah, it's sure. Thank you. I think it seems like those who are online can hear, but those who are on site cannot. And these people on site, like there are like 60 of them. Those are the people who actually need to hear it. Okay, yeah, I'll continue to talk and hopefully you can catch it. I'll continue to talk. I've been very blessed today with you can hear me. So can you hear me now? If you can hear me, can you do a thumbs up? Oh, great. Thank you very much. I'd like to appreciate everyone for the opportunity you have given unto me to be part of this. I really enjoy what you're doing. And I think it's high time that men come together to become greater and greater in their endeavor. So, and I thank Bro David and some of the men and Pastor Ayo, some of the men that I've interacted with in the course of this. And also I'd like to appreciate Pastor Will that I just spoken. So I'm going to be continuing from where he stopped. And I'll just share with you my journey in the last 4 years or so, and how, just like all of us, how I was able to push from working into business. So I'll share with you very briefly my journey, and I hope that at the end it will resonate with one or two people. So this morning, I'll quickly share with you how to make profit, how to make money from property, even the ones that you don't own. So you don't actually have to own it. And I'll be picking up from from where Pastor O stopped. A little bit of what we're going to be looking at today. I'll talk a little bit about myself and how, so that you can see how similar I am to you and why we are here, why property and why now. And then I'll go specifically on the strategy that I've used to scale in the last 4 years. And then I'll give you a few examples and then show you what I've been able to achieve and show you what you can achieve as well. And then we can take questions when we get to the Q&A. So if you have any questions, but in the meantime, please just make a note on your notebook, or even you can type it on the chat, and people in the office can bring them up later on. So a little bit about myself, and I put it up so that you can see how similar we are as a people. So I'm Nigerian. I finished from University of Benin in Nigeria. I made the first class. And then in 2009, I came to UK, did my MSc in Dundee and my PhD in Aberdeen where you are. Although I was not based in Aberdeen all the time, but I got my degree from Aberdeen. And some of you, my face might be familiar to you. And then after that, I went to Bristol and then worked in Newcastle Uni, and then went on to become a lecturer in Durham College and in Northumbria University. And over this time, there was something I noticed in my life. Over my academic, I've done all the academic things that I needed to do, but I realized that financially I was falling behind. So, and I put this up so that you can see that we're very similar in a lot of cases. And as Nigerians, we are like the most educated set of people in this country. So I want us to have that kind of similarity. So when I realized that it wasn't as I actually thought it was going to be, I knew that something had to change. That's why I decided to set up this company, Sigma Place Limited. And after that, I've actually gone to create a few other companies as a result of that. So why now? Why do we need to start to look at property investing? This one caught my attention. There are many reasons why we need to do it now, but this one caught my attention because we're all getting old. Some of us are in our 30s, some of us in our 40s, maybe some of us in our 50s and 60s. But permit me to use the example of the retirement age in this country for men is 67 years. And then if we look at, this is the UK, all of the men in the UK, if you look at the percentage distribution, only 1% is wealthy. So one out of every 100 is wealthy. 4 out of 100, 4%, they are financially independent. 41 are still working, even though they're supposed to retire, but they could not afford to retire because they still have bills to pay. So they continue to work. And then 54% are either retired very poor or or they're on benefit. They're relying on other people, on family and friends or government to look after them. So when I saw this, I was shocked because UK is like a first world country. So it doesn't look normal. It means that there's something that people in these different categories are doing rightly or wrongly, or not doing, that made them to go into that category. And as such, what can I do? What can you do to migrate to the particular category you want to be? And if I can ask us, which of the category we would like to be or belong to by the time we reach 67? Which category will suit you? Personally, I'll prefer the top 1%, the 1% one. I don't know about you, but that's what I would like. And when I look at their life, the life of these 4 people, now I use men because I don't want to put women in it, but we are all men. The thing that are peculiar to them is how they reason, how they think, and what they did before they reached 67. So what are we doing on our way to get to, because eventually all of us will get to 67. But when we arrive at 67, how would our life look like? So those in number 1 position, they have multiple streams of income. And I'm really happy when I saw your this program outline, that is an encouragement for us to have multiple streams of income. Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verse 2 is that we should invest, invest in 7 things, even 8, because we do not know which one will work or which one will work better. So that's an encouragement. And Pastor Will already mentioned that we need to have 7 streams of income. So this is tying in very nicely. So those in number one category, they have multiple stream of income. Those in the second category, the 4% who are financially dependent, they have other sources of income, which is good. It's a good place to be at. So I don't mind being in number two temporarily, but I want to get to number one. But I don't want to be number three at all, and I don't want to be number four at all. So number four, they have a job that is still sustaining them, even at 67. But personally, I don't want to be working at 67. I should be, I shouldn't have to work at that age. And they didn't have an investment. So whatever they're making, they're spending. And that's why they will keep working until they die. Those in number 4, the more than half of the population of 67-year-old men, they are either on low-paying jobs or they are jobless, and as such, they rely on government or on other people to look after them. So this is not a place to be. As men, we should be trying as much as possible to get to that 1 or 2 position. So that is why we need to do that. Now, why property? I know this morning we have looked at a lot of investment. We have talked about cryptocurrency, about forex trading, e-commerce, and things like that. Personally, I've looked at all of them. Why did I choose property? It's because of the power of leverage. I don't think there's any other investment strategy that you can pull down a fraction and benefit from the 100% of the yield. For instance, a house costs 100,000 pounds. You can put down 25% of less of that property, and the bank will borrow you the remaining 75%. And then you put a tenant on it. Although the bank will take a small fraction of it as their mortgage, and you take the rest as rent, as rental income. But over time, say 5-10 years, that 100K house might become 150K. And you can apply to that bank and tell them, this house that I bought 5 years ago is now, for 100K is now 150. Can you give me the 50K increase? The bank will give it to you tax-free. So you benefit from the total uplift of that money despite the fact that you only invested a fraction of that money. So that there is no other investment that you can do that. If you want to buy stock, £100 stock, you need £100. They can't give you £100 stock for £25. They won't do that. So that's one of the reasons why I got into property and why you should go into property. It's also a long-time source of income. So like those men who are wealthy or who are financially dependent, they don't even need to rely on government pension because their rental income will come regularly, and it's long time. As long as the house remains, the income will come. It's also very safe and secure. Pastor Will was talking about having something that is tangible. You can touch it. It's brick and mortar. You can touch it. You can insure it. You cannot insure your stock. If say there is wind and there is tsunami and it blows away your house, the insurance company will pay for it. So you will not lose money when you invest in property. But your stock, the stock of this marketplace in Nigeria, I bought it at around $18. Now it's $3. I've lost a lot of money. And there is no insurance against that. It can go to zero and I will lose all the money. So, but for property, it's very stable, it's very secure. And the last part is that capital appreciation that I talked about. Because of inflation, the value of houses will always go up. If you look at that graph on our left-hand side, in as recently as 2008, the average price of houses in the UK was around 150K. But now it's almost double. 2008 to now is only about maybe 16, 17 years. So it's almost double. So imagine some of us have been in the UK maybe since 1992, where we could have bought something for 50K. And now it will be worth like 300. It will have been more than 6 times. So because of inflation, the trend in house market prices is up. It will never go down because of what we call inflation. And if we look at the graph on the bottom, new houses that are built in the UK up to 2018, every year the government is planning to build 300,000 houses every year. They've been promising this for a long time, this Tory government. But since 1970, The government has failed to build even up to 250,000 since 1970. 1970 is more than 40 years ago. The number of houses they are building is declining. And then that leads to the top graph. Homelessness. People don't have places to stay. It's very bad, especially in London. So because there is shortage of houses, homelessness is going up. And that is where you and I can come in and make money. Because whoever invests in, in business is a need. People need to stay somewhere. And the three fundamental human need is shelter, clothing, and food. Shelter is key. So people have to eat and then clothe themselves and then find a place to stay before they think about anything else. But because there are shortages of houses in the UK, you and I can come in one way or another and benefit from this shortage. And there are many ways by which we can invest in property. There are many ways. There are different ways. Personally, I use a few, and I'm going to share them with us. There are some we call it traditional ways. Traditional ways is for people who don't have a lot of knowledge, but you have some money. And I think the pastor was talking about money and knowledge. There's a book I read. This is one of my favorite books, The Richest Man in Babylon. He said, if you have money, I don't have knowledge. You will lose your money to gain knowledge. But if you have knowledge, even if you don't have money, that knowledge will get you money. So let us begin to program in our mind how the fact that we don't need money to actually make money. We need knowledge first, and it's off for us to acquire the knowledge. So with traditional buy-to-let, you don't need a lot of knowledge. You just need money. And the more the knowledge you have, the more reward you can get. So traditional buy-to-let is not very difficult to do, but the reward is not a lot. But in terms of ROI, it's good. Like the example I have here, a buy-to-let. This is my own personal property. I bought it for 80K. Deposit is 25%, 20K, and then other solicitors' fees and searches and things like that. It was 5K. This was before the interest rate went up. So the interest rate on that house, the mortgage rate is around 1.6. So it's really, really low. It's actually £88 that I pay for it every month. But the rent is £650. So if I remove the cost and everything, mortgage costs, at the end of the month, I will get at least £500. So imagine if I have 4 to 6 of this kind of property, I wouldn't need to struggle to work really, really hard. So that is a vanilla buy-to-let. If you have money, it's a very good way to start. The BRR one is another. It's a bit more advanced because you need some knowledge of this, and then you need a lot of money in cash. Or even if you don't have money, you need to have access to money. And as we have established already, you don't actually need to have the money. The money doesn't have to be your money. Just have access to those who have the money. Now we are men. Some of us here in this auditorium, some of us have 25K, 30K, 10K, 5K in our account that we're not using. And then let's say there's another brother who has the knowledge but doesn't have the money. He can coordinate the people who have the money, take the money, give each person 10% in return on investment at the end, use this money to buy this property cash. So you buy this property cash, usually a rundown property that is not in a good shape, and then you spend part of that money to do it up. So after getting the knowledge, you acquire the money from family and friends. That's the easiest way the cheapest way to borrow. You do the job and then push up the value of that house. What happens is, as we renovate, the value of the house goes up. And this one is just for illustration. I'm trying to do a project now. We haven't completed it yet, so I'm not using an exact figure for this one, but the project is ongoing. We haven't finished it yet. But just for illustration, let's say we're able to push the value up to 100K. We can then go to the bank because that house was financed for cash. We can go to the bank and say, oh, we have this house, we want to put a mortgage on it. And the bank will say, we'll give us 100K for that house. And then we'll say, okay, we want to put down 25% deposit, which is 25K. And then we'll hold on to the £75,000 from the bank. It means that all the money that we have put into the property has come back out. So we can go back and pay those brothers all their money, and then their 10%. Although the 10% is not coming out immediately, it will come out from rental income. So rental income of 650 every month in a year, that is like 7K. And that the return on investment in that particular investment is infinite because all the money that went in has come out. So these are traditional ways of investing in property. Now, personally, I have some innovative strategies that I've learned over time. And a few ones that are, some of them require similar amount of money. Some don't require any money at all, but knowledge. So it's either knowledge or money. You have to choose one. So the one that you buy a property as a residential, usually to buy a place to live is cheaper. You can put down 5%, but let's say we need to put down 10% generally so that you can have a good mortgage rate. You put down, there's an 80K house. I know that in Aberdeen, houses are more expensive than here in Newcastle. So I'm based in Newcastle, so I'm using Newcastle figures. You can still get a 3-bed house here, around here for 80, 85K. So if you want, if you don't have money to invest in Aberdeen, you can come to Newcastle and invest. It's a good place. So let's say we buy this house, we put down £8,000 as deposit for a 80K house. And the other cost is around 2K. Usually it's less than that because you're a first-time buyer, you're not paying stamp duty and things like that. But let's say total cost is around £10,000. For this one, you see I put 3-bed plus to leverage the number of the rooms. And this one is good for single people or married people without kids yet, or people who don't really mind to have people in their place from time to time. And there are 2 ways to run this. When we buy the house, it's say a 3-bed house. You stay in one, or you and your spouse stay in one room, and then rent out the other rooms. You can rent them out to students or to professionals on a monthly basis, or you can even rent them out on a nightly basis. That way, you even make more money. If you rent it out on a nightly basis, you probably make more than double your mortgage payment every month. And then you live in that house for free. Or you just pay the mortgage payment yourself and then save that money up and use it to do another one, and then another one. And in 4 or 5 years, you probably have 3, 4 properties that is making money for you. A lot of people do this. And in fact, there's one member of my church, is a very young man who got a good salary from his job. I advised him, he bought a 4-bed house here in Newcastle, and he's renting, it stays in one, he's renting the other ones out for 400, so he's making 1,200. And his mortgage is around 650. So those rent is it's almost double what he pays as mortgage. If he's clever enough now, he can just keep paying his mortgage because he's getting good salary and just save those 1,200 every month. In a year, 1,200 is that much? 2,200, it's more than 22K. It's more than 12K. And then you can use that to maybe wait for 2 years and keep buying properties. So using one property to cash flow and generate other properties. So this is a low entry strategy where you can start small and then scale from there. Some of us might have passed this stage because we already have kids and then we don't want people in our home. It's fine. There are other strategies. The other one is to find deals and sell it. This one requires no money at all, but it requires knowledge. So some of these deals that I've looked at, so the BRR or the buy to let, if you can find this kind of deals for somebody, because of your knowledge that you have, you can calculate ROI, you can work out how much refurbish will cost. If you can work out some of those few things, if you present this deal, okay, sir, I have this house. If you buy it at this price and I help you to do this, you can make this amount of money. And you can actually see that it will work out because you have done your comparables and things like that. They will pay you a small fee, usually between £3,000 and £5,000, for helping them to find that deal. We call it deal sourcing and deal selling. So for helping them to find a lucrative deal, they'll pay you some money. And that money, you can we just probably need to do 2 or 3 of these in a month to replace our income. And then if let's say we'll keep working and save that money, in a year, we'll have enough money to put down to buy a property. And another year, we'll buy another property. Before we know it, we'll have enough property making money for us. So this is the second of the innovative strategies that we can use in property. Now, it even gets more creative. These 2 strategies are very dear to me. I use especially the lease to SA1. So the lease to HMO. Say one of the brothers in our midst has a house, big house, 5 beds, for instance, and he has been renting it out for £100. But every year he's having tenant come and tenant go. He has to change the carpet. He has to do renovation at the end of every year. And he wants someone to better look after that property. And then some of us here, you already have the knowledge. You can just approach this brother or this neighbor and say, oh, this house, I can actually help you to look after it. I can actually manage it properly for you on a longer term contract, usually for 5 years. So it means that this landlord wouldn't need to pay the agent that 15% plus VAT that he's paying. He wouldn't need to be changing things every year. And then all the money will keep, and he will have a brother or someone who he can trust to look after his property. Let's say you're able to agree on this. So you pay the landlord his normal £1,000. You pay him his deposit, and then you spend another maybe £2,000. These are just estimates to make it look really nice. And then you rent it out room by room. I'm sure in Aberdeen, you're able to get even some, if you make it look really good, you might get something bigger than it. But I'm using Newcastle figures just to keep it simple. So let's say at the end of the month, this 5-bed house gives us a gross revenue of £2,000. And then the utilities takes around 300. So if we remove our total cost, the total monthly cost will go to the rent and the utilities as 1.3. If we remove that from our gross revenue, we'll have around £700 every month as profit. So £700 profit every month. And if we have maybe 3 or 4 of this kind of project on the side while we're working, we're doing this because HMO doesn't require a lot of work. What you need to do after you set up, just put people there, they sign a 1-year contract with you. You don't need to go there anymore. You don't need to do anything. Probably just send cleaners there once a month or once in 2 months to clean the communal areas. And that's it. If anything goes wrong, you just need to have someone who is handy. Maybe the toilet is blocked, or have the numbers of plumbers and things like that. You send them there. You yourself don't have to do it or look after it because they've already signed 12-month contract with you. And before they leave, they need to give you 2 months notice so that you have 2 months to get the next tenant. So there's no gap in your calendar. As someone is going out today, tomorrow somebody is coming in. So you don't lose any money in this if you do it properly with HMO, at least to HMO. So you get the money, you look after the property, your landlord gets his money, everybody is happy. And the landlord has this long-term money that is coming in without doing any work and without even spending any money on maintenance because you will look after some of those things for him. And with 2 or 3, some of us will be good, but we don't have to work really, really hard as we used to. Now, the last strategy, this one is the one that I've done really well. So it's lease to SA, service accommodation. So let's say we have a house, 4 bed in this case, and it costs £1,000. And then £1,000 deposit, furnishing might be a bit higher for this one because you need to make it really good, like the photos you can see at the bottom. Make it look really nice. And because it's a 4-bed house, you can charge minimum of £150 a night. That's minimum. Because as the number of guests go up, you can charge or even up to £180, £200. But let's keep it at 120, which is like a very, very good price for Newcastle, let alone Aberdeen. Revenue at 75% occupancy, that's like 20 days in a month, will be about 2,700. Why do I use 75%? Because based on experience, all across England, so this might not be applicable to Scotland, all across England, the average, if you annualize your occupancy rate, if you annualize it, the average rate is around 75, 78%. So that's like how much you will make if you have a property in England. If you compare high season and low season together, that would be like how much money you get. So in this case, let's say it's 2,700. It means that our monthly cost here is a bit higher than the HMO because there's more cleaning to be done and tissue, all those things you need to supply them. So it's a bit higher. But because you are charging per night compared to charging per month in the HMO, your revenue is higher. So if we remove the cost from the revenue, we're left with 1,100 for this same 1,000 pounds rental property. So you see that we're even making something a bit more than what the landlord himself is making. And for when I was still working really, really hard, 2 or 3 of this would be good for me to replace my income. And it would be good to even have this on the side. And it will not be hard for us to say we want to go on holiday, because one month income from this particular property can send us on holiday whenever we want. So these are some of the ways where we can creatively use property as strategy. Now, to do well in anything and everything, we need knowledge. Knowledge is key, it's power. So, and there is formal education and there is self-education. As I showed you when I was talking about myself, I got the formal education. I did it like my life depended on it. I did it really, really well. And then I got to the end, I realized, there's actually no correlation between formal education and financial well-being. There is no correlation at all. That's when I got to that point, I realized that I had to do something different. And that's why I switched. I've already got to the peak of my formal education. Good. And then I switched to self-education. I started to learn, what do I need to do? How can I improve my financial situation? Because I was working really, really hard. Some of us work like 10, 12 hours. I will go to the lab, go to university in the morning, 9 o'clock. I won't come back on the 6 o'clock. Every day I was doing that. I was publishing papers, I was doing everything that I needed to do, but I was falling behind financially. So I needed to change something. So some of the things I started to learn, and we need to learn, is how to earn money. A lot of us already know how to earn money. We just need to earn a bit more. Then we need to know how to keep money. And sometimes to improve your financial situation, you don't even need to earn anything more. You might just need to cut down on waste and save some more. Many people say, oh, I don't know where all the money goes. The money comes in at the end of the month. Before the end of the month is gone. We need to be able to track, where does the money go? We need to have like, there are apps now that we can use to track how much we are spending and make sure that our expenditure does not go beyond our income, because that will be trouble. And then by the time we have reduced waste, even though we have not increased our salary or our income, there'll be small room in there, and then we can keep that. When we're able to keep that, then we can go to the next stage, which is to invest, to multiply that money. And that is where the key is. In Matthew chapter 25, from verse 14 upwards, Bible was talking about a man who, I'm sure we are all familiar with this story. The man gave different talents, different amount of money to 3 servants and asked them to go and profit with it. Go and profit with it. Go and do something. Go and do something with it. Profit. The word was profit. And one of them saved it. It's good to save, but that was not the instruction. He saved it. He didn't lose it. At least he was better than me. When I was still working, I spent more than I earned, so I was in negative. At least this man saved his own. But even though he saved it, he was still not commended. So saving the money is not commendable. So, but the 2 other guys who profited with their money, they got recommendation. They got commendations. In fact, the other one even got more money. So, and the Bible says that those who have, even more will be given unto them. And those who do not have, the small they have, they will be taken away from them. And this system is using that all the time. That's why when you are poor and you want to go and collect credit card or collect loan, the interest they give you is higher than those who have money. For instance, if you don't have money, they can say it's 29% APR. But if you have money, they say 10%. It doesn't make sense because the people that can afford it, you're not charging them more. But those who cannot afford it, you're putting heavy body on top of them. That's how the world works. And that's why we need to be financially intelligent and migrate from, those who don't have to those who have. And then we need to understand what is a good debt, what is a bad debt. If we can have this understanding, then we're on track to kickstart our self-education and financial freedom and financial security well-being. So what I would like us to remember from this slide is that profits are always better than wages. Many of us get wages, is good, but there are better ways. When I was working in the university, my goal was to become a professor. And I was publishing hard, I was trying to get there. And I was trying to get there, but I realized that there is a cap to how far I can go. So I decided that for me to live the kind of lifestyle that I need to do something different. And then I got into service accommodation. So I'll just go through this very quickly. I know my time is running out. Service accommodation is like a hotel that doesn't have a staff, and we provide better facilities than hotels can give. I will make it more homely, more enjoyable. And there are many ways by which you can do this. I'll just run through this. Those who already have a house, we can use a part of it, like unused room. A room that we're not using, you can use it once in a while. There was a place I stayed at in Milan. Those guys, they have a 1-bedroom flat. Their living room, they put a big double bed. So when the place is booked, they put the bed down and the guest stays there. When it's not booked, they put it up and use it as their living room. If it's booked for just 10 days in the month, they have money to cover their rent. They live rent-free for that month. Anything more than 10 days is profit for them. So some of us can start from there. You can start very little. And then any of us who have existing buy-to-let, we can use that creatively. If we used to get like maybe £500 a month in rent, if we convert it to SA, we can make at least double of that. If we have the knowledge, we can also, there's some landlord who wants to do SA, but they don't have the time, and they don't want somebody else to look at to take over their property. So we can help them to manage it and charge them 20%. So let's say the house makes like £2,000 gross at the end of the month, we'll automatically get 20% of that money, which is £400. Let's say we have 10 to manage, that's 4K in a month. So these are creative ways by which we can make money from property that we do not own. The last one is the one I've done, is to lease the property from the landlord and use it for our own business. Here, I have some of the things we need to address before a landlord can give us their property. And this is just to create a win-win situation with the landlord. So if we can help the landlord to have a stable income and look after his property very well, he'll probably give us that property for us to use them as service accommodation. I'm just running through this quickly because of time. If we have any question, let's just write it down, and when we get to the Q&A session, we will sort it out. How do I find these landlords? Landlords are everywhere. Some of the people in that room, I can tell, are landlords. So we can actually talk to them right there and ask them for their properties to use. If you don't want to be limited to that room, we can go to Facebook Market. The internet is in our office. So Facebook Market, the landlords are there. Open Rent, Spare Room, Gumtree. Landlords by themselves, they put their properties out, they put their details there. We can approach them and get those properties. There are a few indicators to know whether the property will work and whether the location is a good location. And these are listed here: city centers, hotels, anywhere people go to a large number. those places will work. Anywhere we have hotels, because hotels, they spend a lot of money to do research before they build their hotels. So those places will work. And to also know whether it will work financially, whether the numbers will stack, there's something we call deal analyzer. So a deal analyzer can help us to quickly know how well that property will work. And this is a software that will just do the numbers quickly for us. I'll just, this is what we need to set up, or we can just take a photo of this. And this slide can be shared with us at the end as well. So this is how I started. I'll just go in the next 2-3 minutes. I'll go through some of the things I've done personally and how I went from zero to where I am today by God's grace. So I was working full-time research in Newcastle, in Bristol at the time. And I found this lady advertising her property on Facebook Market. And then I approached her. A one-bed flat in 2019 cost $925. But at that time, I was using a lot of credit cards, so I didn't have money. Not that I didn't have savings, I was in debt. So it was negative, it was very bad. But I've gone to learn. So I had a bit of knowledge. So getting the money was the easier part. So I approached a few friends, and one of them borrowed me all the money I needed. Well, most of the money, and then I used my credit card to sort the rest. So I promised him 10%. I think at that time I promised him 20% for the first year. After that, 10%. And up to now, he's still compounding his money because he wants to keep making money from this business. So this is how I started, and these are the numbers. So I charged £85 per night at that time, and roughly I was making around £700 per month from that property. So in my head, if I can just get 3 of these, I'll replace my net salary at that time. So that was like, oh, this is like a good idea for me. So my target at that time is just to look for 3. Look for 3 of that property and I'll be fine. So luckily for me, I moved from Bristol and to Newcastle. And then this is like the second property I got. This one is even more lucrative. The rent of that property is still $425 for a 3-bed flat. And this property makes £17,000 a year. It's so profitable that we're buying the property. And then some of the money we've made from this business is what we're now using to buy and refurbish and refinance properties. This one is a 3-bed. We bought it for $85K. We're turning into a 4-bed. The 4 cost cost us a bit more than $25K now. It will probably be around $30K. But all of this was paid for from that money that I borrowed, from the money that is generated from the service accommodation property. So this is how I've grown in the last 4 years. 2019, in the first year, we had only 1 property. Second year, we got to 8. Third year, we had 20. We bought 1. And then by 4th year, 2023 is still going. We have 24 properties. Two of them are purchased. With the third one, hopefully before the end of June, we should get it. So now, what I used to make in a year as my net salary, what I used to make in a year, we'll make it in a month now as profit. So and all of this started from that small money that was borrowed 4 years ago. So it means that all we need to do is just start. You can start where we are with what we have. Start small. So why I got into it, I've talked about some of this. I was working really, really hard, but I was falling behind. I was using my credit card to do all my visas, and at that time I was applying for visa every year. So it was very expensive. I couldn't buy a house because I was in negative. No time for my family or my health, because when I finished from the university, I have to go and hustle for another job. Sometimes I was teaching biology online. It was too much for me. But property has helped me to replace my income, even as a side hustle. I didn't leave my job until about a year ago. I was still doing it on the side. But a year ago, I just said, okay, I've had enough now. So, and it also helped me to pay all those credit card debts. It was up to 24K in 2021. So the dividend for that year was what I used to clear all of that debt. And now I have time freedom. This is important for me. I'm able to do reasonably what I would like to do. I can take my children to school and bring them back. Right now, I can just wake up in the morning, take them to school, and then go for a run, or go and pray somewhere. I can do this now because I have that leverage. Before now, I wasn't able to do that. Now I'm healthier than I was 7-8 years ago, even though I'm getting older. You know, so this is what money can do for us. So at the end, it is not actually about the money, it's about what the money can do for us. This is what I think investing in property can do for you. But I'll just jump to number 5. This point number 4 there. It can help you to fund your lifestyle. It can help you to fund your lifestyle. Like there is a car that I bought. What I needed to do, I had a car at that time. I sold it for £2,000. I then put out £2,000 as a deposit, and then set up a property that makes me £600 a month. And then the car that I lease cost me £400. So the money from that property goes straight to pay for that car. So I don't pay anything from that from my pocket. So you can have a property like that. I'll just fund that for you, and you don't have to worry. So it can also help us to create a legacy. And many of us want to be charitable. The more income we have, the more charitable we can do. So let's remember that the best way to help the poor is first to not be poor ourselves. The best time to have done this, maybe it was 20 years ago, it was 5 years ago, it was 2 years ago, as Pastor was talking about procrastination. But the next best time is now. So let's buy property and wait, rather than wait to get into property. Let's get into it now. I'm getting to the end now. I know the time is running. The mindset is really, really important, and we have talked about that in our earlier sessions. And I'm glad we touched it. Lack of knowledge, the mindset. But mindset is key, because if your mind is set, you can find the knowledge. As a man think, so he is. The book of Proverbs tells us that. And everything that we can see, touch, or feel, everything starts from the thought. Our mindset. What does our mindset say? If we can change our mind, everything around us will change. And some of us, in another 5 years, we can just change our mind now. In another 5 years, we'll be unrecognizable. I'd like to share with us that it is never too late to be who you might have been. It is never too late to join that 1% category. So I think we are getting to the end now. The hustling stage. A lot of us are in the hustling stage. We are hustling. We're working 12 hours a week, 12 hours a day. It's good to hustle, but let's say our salary as a seed and not eat all of it, so that we can build up. The hustling stage is too crowded at the bottom of that pyramid. We need to get to financial freedom where we have assets that is giving us enough money to cover our expenses, and then from there we'll build up our life to get to financial security, because that is where God wants us to be. In book of 1 Peter 1:3, the Bible says that God has given us everything that we need to live a good life and to live a godly life. James chapter 1 says that we need to be the doer of the word and not the hearers. We have heard a lot. We have heard a lot of things. It's time for us to actually do them. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'll take any question that we have when we get to the Q&A session.
Pastor Will, for in the multitude of counsel, there is what? Safety. Amen. We've come to a point in this program where we'd want to hand over to a man of God, a pastor, a father, a visionary of our time to talk to us as father to son. Amen. Please make welcome Pastor Chris Bingley. Normally, I will not have bothered to say anything after such a busy and full day. But I've just got one or two things to say that are a little bit outside of what has been said. But first of all, just to acknowledge that this is one of the
most impactful group that you can ever have. My heart beats well, and I know for good reason some may not be here, but please always encourage people to be here. A lot is going on here, and we really thank God for that. We say thank you to Pastor Dr. Tose, Pastor as well. We appreciate him. He is here. Thank you very much indeed. We just ask that this next few months will speak to us. Pray that you impact us at a deeper level. We want to turn words into life. So flesh. Not so much, but it needs to be something tangible. And so Holy Spirit will take control right now. And just as this next few minutes, speak to us at a deeper level. Jesus' mighty name we pray. I just want to share with you on the word wisdom. What we've done today are circles around wisdom. The Bible says in Proverbs 24, verse 3, build your house by wisdom, the house is built, and understanding it is established. The book of James went at a deeper level, and that is where I will take it from now. To explain clearly to us the kinds of wisdom that are available. I went from the TPT. That's James chapter 3. Let me just start from verse 13 very quickly. If you consider yourself to be wise, and one who understands the ways of God, advertise it with beautiful, fruitful life, guided by wisdom's gentleness. Never brag or boast about what you've got, and that you are truly wise. When there is bitter jealousy or competition hiding in your heart, then don't deny it and try to compensate for it by boasting and before for that has nothing to do with good heavenly wisdom, but can best be described as wisdom of this world, both selfish and devilish. So, wherever jealousy and selfishness are uncovered, you will also find many troubles and every kind of meanness. Verse 17, I'm going, but the wisdom from above is always pure, filled with peace, considerate and teachable. It is filled with love and never displays prejudice or hypocrisy in any form. Hallelujah. Three types of wisdom. Number one, survival wisdom. And that's the commonest that people see in the military. It is the ends that justifies the means. That is the kind of wisdom. I've seen it many times in business. I've seen it many times in ministry. They don't last. It doesn't last. It's only for survival only. Undercut people, and the way they say is that I'm just Number two is what I call success, wisdom for success. Wisdom for success. It's also wisdom for survival, second wisdom for success. If you large number of people are in that category, it says within the parameters of what is right, they may not break the legal laws. They may not even break many of the moral laws, but they will come with a higher level of spirituality. And spirituality, yes, Christian spirituality, but even heavily high spirituality that makes a person so successful. That's the fact one is what I call the wisdom to surpass, or wisdom for excellence, wisdom to surpass. And so, how do we have this wisdom to surpass? That's what verse 17 is saying. And many a times, listen carefully to me. Listen carefully to me well. Many a times, I'm not just telling you this one for right teaching. This is where the difference is. You know, Dr. Sue was talking, Dr. Lee was talking. What I've discovered about successful people is that the why they tell you is a superficial why. It's like they don't tell you the big whys, but they themselves they can't explain the big whys. I was waiting for my wife. So listen to the things. Sir, with all due respect, those are the superficial ones. There are better ones that drive you to succeed. But what probably that will drive you to succeed? Number one, you didn't set out to compete on others. So that didn't drive you into some crazy investment to double your money. So if you know that all this today, is values on the inside that will drive you. When you have lost money, when I do myself of this room, because we didn't follow verse 17 of James chapter 3. So we've had so many today. Many of us might be the 500 pounds you can afford and you put onto that. But please, I beg of you, let it be the kind of wisdom that is from above. considerate and teachable, and talk about teachable inclusivity. I saw a lot here tonight. A few things we saw this morning. I'm still cutting this every night. A lot that may show that we're not inclusive. Don't have a silent mentality. All these things you are associating with some of the locals, and so don't go into this our own Nigeria, Africa, whatever. Connect with other people. I beg of you. I sit around with many of the locals and they got a lot of things that they admire about me that I don't even know I have. I will have dropped floor by their feedback. Some things, they don't usually tell you what they want you to drop. Many of them they will tell you, why are you trying to change what you are doing? It's an edge you have. What's wrong with you? And unless you are associated with this people, you don't know it. That's teachability. That is that kind of wisdom. And I really get it. I become another one out of the many. So I'm talking about the big lie that we want to succeed. So they may not develop. People say, why did you go to mission? I don't know. When somebody pointed out to me and said, man, it's not what you think, it's something else. And it takes time. So quickly also take note there are three things that we need. We need insight. Of course, we know this. We need a foresight. Insight is all these things that make someone to say, I rather do what is milk and mortar, what I can touch. And that's absolutely me. Many years I've had opportunities to invest in dividends and stock. You won't believe it. Just 3 weeks ago, because I opened an account for, if you are on Barclays Bank, we call it Smart Investor. So I opened the one today was talking about a way you give it time to this was so complex for me. I'm too busy. Sorry. So the Smart Investor, very, very easy. I said, okay, let me even start. And this I even started back in Nigeria, Nigeria bureaus, 167 pounds in Naira invested in those, the call is exactly 167 pounds. When I was closing it almost 30 years later, I think by which is now I got close to 3,000 pounds. So it was good money. But since then, I forgot about it. Sold it and moved on. I said, I'm about to retire now. And thank you very much, Dr. Tosin. We're talking about 67 years. We are having it for some people. So, no pressure on me at all. So I'm going here rejoicing, you know. Wow, I thought I think the meeting and the somehow. I know. Wow, I don't look at time. Wow, that's sweet. So, I said, let me try my hand on investment as well. And I put 100 pounds, you won't believe it. Put 100 pounds into it because, I started checking, I've lost 594 pounds. But that's not the way investment works. If I need to look at that share that I put money, I should look at 2 years' time. But just fluctuation and the dollar anyway. So all these things are things that we ourselves we need to come to realization of. And finally, for me, let's see the abortion that we feel as abortion by exclusivity. And I think I just told you that to do this with you. Therefore, we can add the question and answer. All right, so and now we can make question and answer as well, and then we move them there. Questions directed to let's take number like we normally do. Dr. Tosin, please get ready. Dr. Amis, and please get the microphone and forward for Dr. Tosin. So I take Dr. Daniel. Anyone else? Yes, Dr. Va, Dr. Tosin, because of Dr. Yes, Dr. Femi. So now we have the pastor, and then there's Pastor Charles, and you guys now, you form my hand. All right. I pastor, sir, what's that? Harry, yes, I remember. Yeah, and then after him, Jeremiah. Okay. Number one, Daniel. Hallelujah. You know, I was just telling my brother about my opportunity and lost in terms of property and getting there was a husband behind my house that went for 50,000 pounds in the flat. So I wanted to actually follow them, but I seek for advice.
And I was told it was really important to me to buy the other house as I'm planning relocating my family. So I left the property. Next Sunday, I went back, it is now going to so so to say, how did you go about it? So we have and another way. Because I've tried it even as I speak, to do that from currently to turn it to a servant's apartment while I buy a new one for this one I'm currently about to relocate. But it's not easy. So I just wanted to know what can I do to be able to log in the one I have without paying the 25% something on it. Thank you.
I didn't get that question very well. You're saying you want to know what you need to do, but it wasn't coming out very well. If someone can type it on the chat, please, on the Zoom chat, so that I can see it.
Thank you, sir. I was just asking, what do I need to do in order to? What do I need to do?
Please use the phone.
What do I need to do as a current landlord to be able to get into service apartments, knowing fully that I don't have a renting experience? Because that is also one thing that is required to do that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Is the fact that you have the property now puts you ahead of the game. You're ahead of most people, and it's a good place to be in. So in Scotland, there are certain laws that have come up in the last few years or months that to turn your buy-to-let into a service apartment, there is a license you need. There's a permission that you need from the government. And I think that makes it a bit harder for operators in Scotland. But since you already have the property, you can get the knowledge and then start. All you need to do is make the property look really nice. As long as it's in the right location, put it on Airbnb, put it on booking.com, people will book it. And then after you set it up and it's running, you can apply to the government to give you the permission. So to use your existing property is because of where you are, you need to get the permission from the government. And then check with your mortgage bank lender to see that they can allow you to do that. Some of them are flexible; they will let you do it for 1 year. So check with get the permission from the government and check with your mortgage lender and make it look nice, and you're ready to go. It will make you more money than what you currently have. Thank you.
Yeah. So my question really has to do with when you're buying the property, are you buying them as a company, or are you buying them as an individual? I mean the rental properties. And are there any tax implications for those two options? And what are those? Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that question. It's a very good point. I bought my first property, my first business property in my name, and it's not a good move. Because now government is making it difficult for landlords, especially those who have property in their name. Now they don't see your mortgage payment as an expense anymore. So the tax, say you have a house and they pay you rent of £500, government will tax the whole £500 before you pay your mortgage. But if you have it in your company, your mortgage will be paid out first as an expense before they tax what is left. So it is more advisable to buy as a company. Than if it's a business property, buy it it's better to buy it as a company than as individual. Although the rates that the lender will give you for company will be a bit higher. So, yeah.
Who's number 3? Okay. Oh, sorry. Thank you very much, Dr. Tusi. Thank you very much, Dr. Tusi. That was very, very enlightening. Got a lot from this. I was just going to ask, are you able to share one or two of your pains
because it's good to hear the very, very good stuff, which is great and fantastic that, but maybe some of the learning points, some of the things to watch out for from your own personal experience. I think that would be very helpful. Thank you very much.
Okay, with the time that I have now, I'll try and just give you some of the key points. So before I started, I had to learn the process, because leasing a property for service accommodation is saying it needs a good knowledge, because you're making money on top of the money that the landlord already made. So you need some knowledge to be able to maximize that gap. It's not a lot of gap that is in it, but if you get the right knowledge, you can maximize that gap and make as much as the landlord, even more. So before you start, try and learn the ropes. And I encourage people to set up a company and try and have a business partner. It will help you in the growth process. If you're by yourself, you can lose hope and lose courage and procrastinate. But if you are two, you'll be better. Even the Bible says two are better than one. So, those will be my advice. So get knowledge, get a partner, set up the company, and just start. Usually, when you take the first step, the ladder for the second step will come up.
Very good. Excellent. Very good. Number 4, please.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Tosin. Just want to find out which one will be more profitable when going into business mortgage, when you are repaying back your capital. Is it interest-only mortgage or interest per capita mortgage? Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that question. Very good question. If it is business, we are maximizing cash flow. So for business, I always go for interest only. For my residential house, I can repay it, but for business is to maximize the cash flow, and we always go for interest only. Thank you, sir.
Next. You're next. Okay. Thank you very much for that answer. We've got our next question here.
On the portfolio of investment we showed earlier, and someone that was
Here's the macro.
Yeah, the portfolio you showed, one of them was medicinal cannabis. And I was wondering what the ethical consideration for the church in such investments. Is there a guideline, or is it that, well, if it brings money, we should invest, or are some things we shouldn't invest in?
I think yes, I said it. Awareness, I'm probably very flexible to get to it. The main thing with the main ingredient in cannabis is what called THC, tetrahydroxycannabinol. It's just like up to tomorrow, people still use substances of cocaine and heroin on a daily basis in the hospitals to keep pain down. But that hasn't stopped people from growing the cocaine plant or whatever. So it's the abuse of it. But Delta THC is an absolutely important chemical that has been used and that will be used. So it's and it be abused, yes, but that's just it. Yeah.
Just to add one.
Okay.
Just to add one extra line, Pastor Charles, the particular projects we listed here are being supervised or being run by a team of white South Africans. Not to say that they don't, white people don't misbehave, rather, but this particular team was actually appointed by the government to set up the call it ISO 9000 for the industry. So they are like the kingpin in monitoring or setting up that industry in the country. Or in fact, South Africa was the first country to be given the licenses to run medicinal cannabis farms in the whole of Africa. So in a way, there is some controls, checks and balances in that area. But I knew that the question would come whether this is ethical or not. But I think if it is specifically for medicinal purposes, there is a tracking system in the product, then it's a good investment project.
Okay. I think finally, it's like that's
That's fine. Harry.
Stuff for him. Wills.
Okay, Pastor Will, yeah, go on.
Okay, thank you, sir. My question is for Pastor Will. And when he was talking about, I know you mentioned about collaboration and Pastor made a bit of clarity on the financial part. Well, you spoke about, I'm not trying to stereotype, but you spoke about collaboration. Like if I have a business, I should flash the identity of an African as the owner, and then I'll have my kinsmen and friends and well-wishers too. Well, I think somehow is in the opposite, because if I'm a Nigerian and I flash, I own this business, people tend not to support or encourage me in the beginning. So my question is, how do I bridge this gap, or should I continue with experience? Anytime I use an Arabic man to flash my product, it sells faster than when I show that this business is owned by an African, or let me be specific, a Nigerian or a Ghanaian. So how do I bridge this gap of hiding behind my business? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. So I think I needed to make clarity on my statements. The point you raised is very key, and I can also give an example of myself when we started our accountancy business back in 2010. We made that mistake, or maybe I would say we made two mistakes. Number one, to go all out as, yeah, I'm the owner of this business, I'm the director, and that was a wrong move. One of the mistakes was that I didn't get a partner to work with, and at a point I almost got very discouraged. So I would say, depending on the niche you are attaching or attacking, use wisdom. I know somebody who is operating a healthcare business in England. They don't even exist. The people who exist are the registered managers who are local Mancunians in Manchester. So the council and all the stakeholders, they believe that this white lady is one of the business. So that's wisdom. Meanwhile, the people on the business are well in the background. When they go out, they're carrying a card like manager or maybe writing saying you need to be wise. But there are some products that you just need to differentiate yourself, like what I was trying to explain, what Siri was saying. There are some things that, you know, the market is crowded. You need to distinguish yourself from the crowd. Let's use what we have. I mean, there's one time when Andy Kunis, the former, he had very good heads up that looked for services to them. Of course, I needed to then, hide behind them.
Thank you very much, sir. My question is for Dr. Tosin. Asking about the service department. What are the platforms you use to kind of host these deals? For example, renting per night. And how do you regulate it? Is it like Airbnb or Booking.com? What would be your advice if you were to get started on this? And also from the legal side, do you enter into an agreement with the landlord, tell them beforehand that this is what you intend to use the apartments for, or you just pay your rent and then you just do, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that question. Yes, I'll start with the second one. when we approach landlords, we let them know that this is our unique strategy. So we are leasing your property to be used in this manner. So we're going to be putting in, we're not going to be living there. We're going to be having guests in there. So my company is the tenant, and the company will be responsible to the landlord and looking after the property. And then the property will be like a base for different kind of guests. It might be doctors, it might be professionals, it might be holiday makers. So we let them know upfront, and they will sign this 3 to 5 years contract when they are happy. So for them, the good thing for them is they have this long-term income and they have the property looked after. They don't pay any fees for like agent anymore. So it's good for them and it's good for us. So the second point, so after acquiring the property, you just need to make it look nice and put it in almost all there are up to 100 OTAs, online travel agencies. Booking.com is the biggest. So Airbnb is there, Verbo, HomeAway, even Google now is doing it, Google Renters. But for us now, most of our booking come direct. So because of the experience we've had in the area, so about 70-80% of our bookings come direct. We have a website and people can book or contact us directly. Thank you, sir.
Hallelujah. Let's put a round of applause. We start to rise up. Because that will be prayer. The season in which we're talking about excellence, and I'm quite aware that we will have finished only 5 minutes outside that we should have always done. You ask your facilitator to turn up 20 minutes before and sort out everything. You facilitate before you do it again. Every meeting we have as a church, you're maybe not aware. We must image clear, is the voice clear. 5 minutes to, if you don't tell me, that's the time to panic, not when the meeting has started. So please, when the moment we were talking about excellence, I make the word of difference. If it goes well, nobody claps for you. If it doesn't go well, everybody will slap you. Never forget that one. It doesn't show everything moves smoothly, they take it for granted. So please, let's say, and that spirit will rest upon us. The little things the Lord will pour His Spirit upon us. Father, I thank you for all the advancement you have made through the years. For where we are right now. So we was mentioning that many years back, just a couple of us were part of the men's group of this church. And I'm sure we have meetings in which about 100 attended before. And because you have been with us, we thank you, Father. We stand before you today, Father, and I pronounce over your children. There are many devices that are the desires of the heart of man, but it is the counsel of the Lord that we stand. Amen. Therefore, Lord, hearts are here today. Where do I start? I don't even have the money. It's good for people to say that. You don't know my circumstance. But Lord, when your hand is upon the person, you can bring them from the desert and take them to the palace to be ruler over Pharaoh. Therefore, oh God, wherever back desert that these your sons, including myself, bring us out in the name of the Lord Jesus. The man that shared his life so eloquently with us in death, walking so high, it was not fun, but you brought him out. And Lord, as many as are in here, and I know he has not even come close to the pinnacle where you are taking him. But for us here today, Lord, accelerate all our progress in the name of the Lord Jesus. May your fear be dispelled. May your worries be buried today. May you rise up in power and move forward in the name of Jesus. And believe in the living God that in a year from now, every debtor shall be debt free in the name of the Lord. You've done it for me, you can do it for them. I pray, Lord, in a year from now, there will be more house stories, excelling the ones we have had already. The one we have from Pastor Will, what we have had from Dr. Tose. Lord, there will be many, many more stories like that in the years time in the name of the Lord. In the name that's above all, that's according to the prophets the Lord has given unto me, there shall be a performance in your life. I pray one more time, claim your own and be part of that prophecy in the name of the Lord. I see the trajectory going on. Just slow down. Father, we thank you. Above all, give us wisdom from above. Give us wisdom from above. The one that will excel that of the world. And let Jesus be glorified. For the organizers, my Father, bless them. For all that has gone up today, Father, visit each and every one. For our facilitators, we will not spoil. We will not diminish. This is our rule within this church that when you come unto us, you get better. When you minister amongst us, you don't decline. And so we pray for our facilitators because you have come and heeded the voice of the Lord. Let there be rapid advancement for you. Let the name of the Lord be glorified. Thank you once again, Father. You be the honor and glory. Jesus' marvelous name we pray. Somebody shout hallelujah.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you so much, Pastor Will. Thank you, Dr. Tosi, and everyone for making it to this event today. God bless you real good. Just two pieces of announcement, please. There's a QR code just being displayed just now. Institute, if you don't mind scanning it, give us some feedback. Other areas you'd like us to delve into in subsequent meetings will be really, really helpful. And perhaps if you haven't found time rather to make payments for any of this breakfast meeting today, please feel free to reach either Nitin Tunde or Nitin Sylvester to do so. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a blessed weekend. We'll just share the grace before we disperse. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow all the days of our life, and we shall dwell in the house. Praise God, there's a lot of found tenor here. So if it's yours, come with proof of ownership. Just check if it is yours. I'll leave it on this table if it's yours. Thank you, sir. Oh, apparently it was found on the last table to the left. So if you've got a tenor missing or you want to go into conveniently, feel free. Thank you. We're done. We're done. I will